Coming to you live from the Drew Estate and Gurkha Cigar Studios in the great state of New Hampshire, welcome to the Spare Notes series with your hosts, Matt Tabacco, Pat Chamberlain, and William Cooper.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Spare Notes series. It is Saturday night. And, I have to say, I'm very excited to be here today. This is going to be a great show. We have some great peeps with us here. We got William Cooper, once again, just, being a badass and trying to get himself situated. I thought we were ready to go, but it looks like he has...
when you knocked the camera over right before we start, that was me, actually.
William.
Give me a second here, and we'll just keep going.
That's okay. Hey, shit happens. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Pat has been the story of shit happens a lot the last few weeks. Not to bring it up again, but, it's Pat, and he's always got something going on. I'm sure most people have all heard about the debacle that happened with Michael Herklotz last weekend, where Pat burned a hole in his suit, and Herklotz had to come and save the day. And then he was bitching about something else this week, and about not having coffee in the courtroom. Now he's pissing off about something with the coffee lids at Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know, Pat. You always have an axe to grind. I don't know what it is, but I kind of like it.
I don't like how people just take shortcuts for quality products. It makes me the fuck up. Dunks had it down with the coffee lids last year. They had it down. Now, if you got a small coffee, you got fucked, and you had this shitty little lid. You had to peel the little nub up and click it in place, and it was like you could spill coffee all over your fucking self. But when you bought a medium to a large, they had it figured out. It was a good cup. Spill-proof, good cup. Now what they said is, let's take the recipe of success and add this bullshit fucking tab thing. You gotta pick this tab up, and you gotta lock it in. It's fucking bullshit. You fucking pick it up. It's some stupid ass plastic, and then it doesn't, like, the tab doesn't stay in place. It's not like the original tabs. It's even shittier than that. So then you're fucking drinking coffee, the tab gives out, and it fucking catapults coffee in your fucking face and on your white fucking collar. It's fucked. So, fuck you, whoever shareholder. I don't know who the fuck is a dunk guy. Fuck you, Dunks. Fix your fucking lids.
You know something?
Figure it the fuck out.
Coop, I don't think you were privy to this conversation when I brought it up the first time, because I think it happened on the Smokin' Tabacco show. But I have come to the realization, and respectfully, with you and your age, I know you know this reference. He doesn't know the reference, believe it or not, before I tell you. He doesn't know who this is or what it is or what it's from. It meant nothing to him. You'll get this. As Jay, I'm pretty sure Jay will know this, and probably most of the listeners, actually, but he doesn't. Just keep that in mind. He is George Costanza. He's George Costanza.
Well, from the few times I've watched that, and I just wasn't a Seinfeld person.
Yeah.
I could see it. Yes, I could see it. Yes.
Yeah. He's George Costanza.
I don't want to say I'm not
always
a
got
Seinfeld
something
aficionado by any means, but yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
You've seen it enough to know that he's George Costanza. He's just always got something going on. Jerry! Come on! She had man hands, Jerry! That's him. Like every day. Like, what's going on, Pat? The fucking coffee lids. I'm like, here we go.
I'm just saying what's on everyone's mind. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's telling the people what they need to hear. The mistake is Dunkin'. That's the mistake in general. But
I know. Why you even go in the Dunkin' Donuts? That's the first thing that you did.
Starbucks is a little distance from me, and it's out of my way. I gotta go to Dunks. I get it. Like, it is what it is. You gotta deal with the Dunks every morning.
Do you guys remember the cigar industry about 10 years ago when they all said they were done with Starbucks? So about 10 years ago,
I don't think I remember that. It was right before my time.
Oh, Pepperidge Farm remembers here. Let me tell you something, okay? So about 10 years ago, okay?
He does that a lot,
just
so you know.
Yeah. About 10 years, Starbucks said, we're not allowing smoking on the patio anymore. And it triggered this reaction. I'm done with Starbucks. I'm never going back. The whole industry should boycott Starbucks. Yes, we're boycotting Starbucks. And then you go to PCA and there's a line around the corner for Starbucks. And there are other coffee options. So that's the cigar industry in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go back to what I
I never
bitched
said I
about
was gonna-
Wednesday, but fuck, I hate Dunk's lines, man. It just infuriates me when you get into a line of Dunks, and
So here's the thing.
I just fucking
For a lot of people, it's probably strange because we're from New England. So, this is like the breeding ground for Dunkin' Donuts. This is where they're born and then they ship them around the country. And we are not fans of Dunkin' Donuts. I refuse to go there. And I maintain that very well.
Purely
He
It's not
goes out
terrible.
of
It's not
he goes out
terrible.
of
It's not terrible.
desperation. He crosses the picket line out of desperation. I refuse to go.
Well, you guys weren't picketing. I mean, in fairness, you guys weren't when like I said, I don't think it's the best coffee, and I kind of gave Pat. I was needling him a
sucks.
bit on that, but
say it fucking sucks. It's shit
it's not.
coffee.
It's better. I'd rather have it than Starbucks.
Oh,
I would rather have it than Starbucks. Yes.
Did you hear that?
Wow.
Was that
Yeah.
just me? Did you hear that too? That's fucked
is that
up.
is it because of the coffee's better, or is it just because you
But
like
but I
the
do
company?
but I do agree with Jay's comment here. I think that there was a time when Dunkin' Donuts had really good coffee. I'm going back about 20 years ago, and something's changed. So
They got too big for their bridges. That's what changed. Hey,
In a
look.
pinch-
Let me put it to you this way. All right, and no one here will probably remember this, but you and Jay. I know you guys are in your 50s, but probably your parents would remember this, right? There was a time, for the sake of the argument, there was a time when McDonald's was really good. Look at McDonald's today.
coffee. Yeah.
Not the coffee.
McDonald's
Just in general. Like there was a time when you went to a McDonald's and it was like a real burger and it was good. You go to McDonald's now, and it's like it's McDonald's.
My wife and I.
They all go
went to
downhill.
McDonald's. My wife and I, when we got married, the first couple of years, we went to we. Long story short, we were on the road on Valentine's Day, and we went to McDonald's for Valentine's Day, and we had one of the best experiences we ever had. They actually had table service for us that day. It was weird. They were just doing something really nice, and they treated us so nice that day that I've actually become a McDonald's fan for life after that. And I just loved how they treated us. Just kind of made we were on the road and we couldn't have a great Valentine's Day, and they kind of tried to make it really nice for us. And I never forgot that. And that Valentine's Day restaurant was up in Orange County, New York, so I'll never forget that particular location.
Alan mentioned Dunkin' for the donuts. Now, I will admit, the only time I will go to Dunkin' Donuts, first of all, I never get coffee there, period. If I do find myself there, it's only like a couple times a year, it's because I'm really craving a donut, and there's no fresh donut shops around, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts and get some frozen donuts. That's the only time I'll go. Because there's not a lot of other donut shops around, and I like a donut. I mean, look at me.
We
I'm not
we have
like him.
we have Duck Donuts, which are
I
good.
don't have pecs, Like I eat donuts.
Miami's got great donut places. Miami. You get legitimately great donuts in Miami.
Really?
Yeah, Mojo Donuts is a fantastic
Like
place.
fresh
You know what's
made.
good? Krispy Kreme
Yeah.
donuts.
Krispy
Oh,
Kreme is
if you say shit about it, I
No.
am punching distance.
No, they
No,
do.
Krispy
And they have
Kreme's
coffee,
good.
too. Yeah.
Krispy Kreme's good, but like Nicole is like, oh, Krispy Kreme. And I'm like,
It's
I mean, they're
so
good, but
good.
like they're not like.
No, we have the conveyor belt one by our house.
Yes,
where you can
fucking
go,
fucking fresh
come
donuts.
down
You
here
get
and
right
it-
off the thing and melts in your mouth. You fucking
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. And their coffee's really good too, is what I'll say.
Oh, Jay's calling
calling you
you
out.
Yes, they had coffee back in the 1970s. Now I own a coffee machine and espresso. That's how guys in their 50s drink coffee, Pat.
I'll get there. So you know
It
what?
was-
One more thing about dunks before I drop dunks, and this is like how fucked up dunks can be. I got a bacon, egg, and cheese on a plain bagel, right? The bagel was doughy, and it was cold. Like it was like the middle of the egg that
Like
I bit
raw?
into was still fucking frozen.
Oh,
How the
shit.
fuck does that happen? It's doughy and frozen.
Because you went to Dunkin' Donuts. That's why.
It's like the machine does it for you. Put it. It's like a Queasy Bake or whatever the fuck that stupid child oven thing is. You put it in and it's like you can't fuck it up.
Did you say a Queasy Bake?
That is a thing. It was a Halloween
It's
thing.
Easy Bake.
No, but they
Que-
made one called the Queasy Bake. I know. I
What
had
the
it.
hell's a Queasy Bake?
Look it up. It was a Halloween version of it. That's what I had. It was fucking sick.
Coop, what are we
But
doing here?
they make it so you can't fuck it up. It isn't. You can't fuck. You have to go out of your way to fuck it up. You have to be like, you know what? Fuck this guy. He ordered his coffee before the food. Fuck him. I'm gonna half-ass. I'm gonna take it out halfway early so he gets a fucking frozen-ass egg. That's what they do. It's fucked. I've had times I've had double bacon when I didn't ask for it, and
Oh
the
my
fucking
God.
grease is dripping on.
Coop,
I've had
what's going
times I've
on?
had no fucking bacon. I've had a frozen
Oh my
fucking
God.
egg. I've had a doughy fucking bagel, and then it's like first thing in the morning. Oh, we're out of fucking plain bagels. How the
gonna
fuck do
scare
you
the
not have plain
audience away.
bagels? All right, we're done. We're done. Move on. Fuck dunks.
Coop, in all the years that we have been on the air together, I don't think either one of us is, and there's been times I've been pissed, and there's been times when you've been pissed. I don't think either one of us have ever gone on a rant like colorful before. I mean, that was a first time for I think any of our broadcasts.
Yeah, I mean, my most famous rant was when I went off on the waffle cone cigar that Ezra Zion came out with, or Nomad came out with a few years ago. And I
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah,
that's going back.
Bombs coming out of me and everything. And I was like, what the is that? Because basically, Ezra Zion had bought Nomad, and they came out with a cigar called the Waffle Cone, and I just lost it that night. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? But this was epic. I'll say that it was an epic rant.
So Alan is, normally provides. Hold on. I know. Let me hold on. I was just about to say, Alan normally provides a lot of background commentary that's very useless to the current conversation, but Alan knows how to eat, and I respect that because
no,
I
he
like to eat
doesn't.
too. Well, he knows enough. So go to Donut Bar downtown Las Vegas. I've never been there. I don't think. I'm trying to remember, but I do know. We're talking about donuts in Las Vegas. Pink Box. Have you been to Pink Box?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, Pink Box is pretty good. So I was just gonna use his thing as a segue, as a reminder of different place, but Pink Box donuts, that's a good spot.
Bagel Mania is the place to go.
Did they do donuts at Bagel Mania though?
No, I just go to Bagel Mania now. That's
Just
where
for
I go.
bagel. Yeah.
It's called fucking Bagel Mania, dude.
Well, we're
Yeah.
talking about donuts, dickhead. So
I know,
that's why
but,
I'm like, why are we?
it's-
What
Well,
he says,
that's
Bagel
what I'm saying.
Mania.
If I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
go
I'm talking
for-
about donuts.
If I'm gonna go someplace in the morning, I'm going to Bagel Mania.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm doing. Now, funny thing is, I normally don't even get the bagels there. I usually get the Canisius, so. Or a sandwich. I'm not a breakfast person, as folks know. So
Coop doesn't like eggs. You put eggs in
that
front of
egg,
him.
story, that egg story almost got me puking. Yeah,
If you put eggs in front of Coop, he will get up and leave.
I have made guys
He
get
will.
out of the car with their egg sandwiches.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's like.
My team, like, oh, you eat that sandwich outside the car.
Do you remember Viva La Bam back in the day when we were kids?
Yeah.
Do you remember the episode when they were going up the one dude with the mustard rake? He hates mustard, and Bam scored him with mustard. He's like, dude, I'm gonna murder you and your family. That's like Coop with eggs. He'll be like, dude, I will if you put eggs on me, I will murder your family and burn your house down. Like he is afraid of them. He does not like them. It is like, get them away from me now.
Really?
If you're at a restaurant and someone orders eggs at the table, he'll be like,
Leave.
he'll leave. He'll just get up and leave. Oh, 100%. It's a real thing. So, having said that, for everyone watching, if you ever want to get him, send eggs to his hotel room.
No.
Or he has nowhere to run. I'm just kidding.
You
Don't do that.
You order eggs. I'm leaving, and you're paying the bill.
That's right. That's right. Everybody knows me. I like to fuck around a lot. I like to joke around. But I would never do that to Coop because I'm like, that's just too far. Like, I could never do it. As much as I love to get people, I'd be like, someone like, you gotta send eggs to Coop. I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it, and I won't be involved. I will walk away. You guys can do this alone, and I'm probably going to tip him off, too, because I know how much he hates it. So, Coop, I got you back on the eggs. Don't worry, I got you.
I know. I appreciate it.
I would never do that. No, wait, let me ask you a question. People use eggs in products, though. So, like, you eat, like, bread and shit like that. They put eggs in the dough. Like, you know that, right?
I don't. It's very. There are certain egg-based breads that I can taste it. Like,
Challah?
egg bagel, I would say. Challah, I don't eat challah. I know it's like a bad.
I love challah.
So, yeah, but I don't eat custard.
Really?
I don't eat custard.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat. Yeah, so, my daughter made. She's a great cook. She made dressing stuffing, and I looked at her, I'm like, you put egg in this? She's like, yeah. I said, I know. I could just sense it. So. I'm pretty good. You can't has something the mayonnaise I don't really eat, but sometimes something with a mayo base.
Mayonnaise.
Fool me with that.
Mayonnaise.
Maybe you'll fool me with that, but once I know, then I just won't. My head's in mind, I won't eat it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And you know what? I get it because there's things I don't like. I mean, I'm trying to think, what do I really hate? I mean,
That and liverwurst are the two words. Liver in general, I don't like liver.
I grew up eating liverwurst because my mother's family was mostly German and Polish, so that's what.
Oh, my
they
dad
ate.
loved liverwurst. It just.
My
But
mom
I
texted
can
me.
pro-
My mom texted me today about like, oh, you should come over tomorrow. I'm making Christmas cookies, whatever. And she's like, I have liverwurst, and I was like, interesting.
Well, again, it's not egg with me. It's something I don't like, but yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't like tomatoes. Raw tomato.
Are you Italian?
No.
Yeah, that's why.
What the fuck does that have
Yeah.
anything to do with it?
Because real Italians eat tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse the fuck out of me.
Nah, my oldest son, who's more Italian than I am, because just of genetics, he hates tomatoes too.
Huh.
It's the texture. Like I can have
Yeah,
like pizza
yeah,
sauce. I can do like
yeah,
tomato sauce.
yeah.
I can't do like raw tomato.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 50% Italian. He's 75% Italian, and he doesn't like tomatoes. So it's something, It is what it is, I guess. Yeah. Some people just don't like it. Yeah, I can see the texture thing now. I can actually see that.
Everyone's talking about food in Vegas now in the comments. Like, how did we get here?
I don't know how Vegas got brought up.
Yeah.
Well, I
well,
brought
Alan,
Vegas up
Alan
at
brought
the
it.
beginning.
Oh yeah, you did.
No,
yeah.
I brought up Bagel Mania.
Yeah.
And then I brought something up before the show, but Bagel Mania is what I brought up. So yeah. By the way, speaking of food, I normally don't plug the Coop show, okay? But on Thursday night we had Raphael Nodal grade food pictures
Oh.
of Loomis and myself. Yeah. And then there was a bonus picture of a cheesesteak by someone we all know, and Raphael went to town on that. I'll just tell you that right now.
A cheesesteak by someone you know. Oh, Terrence Riley.
Yeah, we didn't tell him it was Terrence's, but right away he knew it. He knew it right away.
Yeah.
and
I knew when you
did
sound
not
like,
hold back.
oh,
He did
Terrence.
not hold back. Let me tell you.
Did Terrence see that? I'm curious to see what
Yeah,
Terrence.
I don't
said.
think he saw it yet. We haven't clipped it out yet. We're gonna clip it out probably next week. But yeah, there was a few, and it was a chance for Raphael to get even with us for, we're hard on his cigars. So, now you can be hard on our food pictures. So, he was hard on mine. I can tell you that.
Well, if there's anybody that knows how to get, it's Raphael, and he's coming on our show next month, I think. So it's either January or February. So it's coming up. So
I'm
I'll
glad
have
about
to-
that. He's one of the most fun guests you're gonna have. Really, I think you guys will have a good show with that. And Altadis is real. It's a big year for Altadis. I won't give too much away because they'll probably talk about. You may hear more than hear it on our show because I think some of the announcements are coming in January. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be it's a big year for Altadis this year for sure.
Well, I'll have to make sure that we bring up food with him and be like, our mutual, very close friend for both of us, William Cooper. We were talking about you and food, and I'll have to make sure that I have my A game ready for that show, so that I come prepared.
Well, I mean, he definitely will talk food, for sure. I mean, we talked a lot about Italy because, Venice is, the one thing I'll just say is, so my wife and I, when we went to Italy, we tried to go to a off the beaten path place for a restaurant, and we found one. We thought we found one. And we took a picture from the restaurant, and Raphael knew the restaurant. He knew exactly the restaurant and the location. He knew exactly what it was. And I'm like, and it was off the beaten path. That's what surprised me. Venice is not a small city. But he knew this place. And it wasn't like my wife and I sought this restaurant out. We literally just wandered past it and said, this looks like a cool place to go. So he knows his stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to make sure I'm prepared for that because
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a fan of his. I know him a long time, and I think they're doing what they did with Monte Cristo this year. I thought was great. They really, I think, elevated that into a luxury brand. It always was, but I think they solidified it.
well, the
this year.
Doble Diamante with the $150 price tag, I think really, they put
Yeah,
them there.
I have it. Yeah, I have it. I haven't smoked it yet. In production, I've had a pre-production one of it. And then the M was really good. The M is excellent. That cigar.
Now, we actually didn't talk about what we're smoking tonight. Maybe we should get into that really quick.
Yep.
Coop, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I am smoking a cigar by Mirafell. This is the Ernest. This is the third release. This is the double Robusto. This is the one that comes with that in that nice. They call it a casket, which is really a giant ashtray, is what it is. Don't know much about the blend. I think there is some Cameroon in here, is all I'll say. This, like I said, this is the Ernest I'm smoking.
And Pat and I are both smoking the Byron Aristocratus, which
Good size, by the way. Yeah, I like that one.
It's a big size, but it's a good size. And I mean, so far, typical Byron. I mean, the wrapper is like paper perfect. It's burning pretty evenly, flawlessly. Ash is nice and tight. A lot of flavor, but it's nice and clean. Pat, what do you think of the cigar so far?
It's good. Yeah, every time I smoke anything from Selected Tobacco, it's just like a wood mania to me. It's always oaky, cedar, redwood. It's always a unique kind of woody experience. Like a drier smoke as well.
Yeah. Drier
Yeah.
smoke. Yeah, I agree. So that's what we're smoking. And as always, we are cutting and lighting our cigars with none other than SD Dupont products. Oh, we lost Coop. Oh, you know why? Because he jumped out before, so now I have to put his thing back in. We have SD Dupont products. Coop's got his double jet Defi Extreme. And ooh, almost dropped that.
I would have loved that if you dropped it.
It would have been the first time.
Would have been hilarious.
And I have the new Gradient Collection Line 2 with the twin flames. There it is. There it is. There it is. And yep. I fucked up my laptop. Look at that.
Gotta hate.
I call that.
It dented the body and then it chipped it. So
That's just put some character in that, though. You know?
Wow.
Now it's broken in.
Holy shit. This laptop was flawless, and now it's
Gotta hate.
although, did I fuck up the lighter? That's the bigger problem.
See, no, you didn't fuck up the
I
lighter.
did.
You don't want any evidence. Oh, yeah, you just fucked yourself.
Yeah.
You said it on camera.
Oh no, wait, I didn't.
Nothing a
Nope.
black Sharpie can't fix.
Nope. The black is fine. Nope, the black is fine. I think we're good. Gotta be careful though. That one's on loan. And then of course I have the new, the Legrand with featuring now the Ping, ST DuPont Shake Up the Legacy. Ask your local retailer for ST DuPont products today. So anyway, let me get that out of the way. Oh, let me put these back in the middle. Well, you have your own shit, but whatever. Yeah, so got some longer smokes tonight because I've anticipated, a nice good show. Wanted to have plenty of cigars, but I have a couple other treats off camera. Pat and I may or may not get into, but we'll see where the night takes us. So far, we're off to a great start. We got a lot of great stuff out on the table, and I know there's more to come. I have a non-cigar related gripe to get into at some point whenever people are ready for that. It's something I've always kind of had going on, but I've never really unleashed to the world, so maybe I'll share that. One of the things was, on a cigar-related note, Coop, that I wanted to talk about for sure, was the fact that we did our media roundtable 2 weeks ago, and as much as I would have loved for you to be there, I know you could not make it, and I know you did see the show, so you saw the discussion, you saw the topic, so I know you're already well-versed on all that, and I know that you probably have some things of your own that you want to add from the conversation, which, if you do, I really welcome you to, because as I said, I really wish you could have been there with us that night. But,
Right, no, I wish I could have too.
But no, it was a great show, and I thank everyone else who came on and joined Pat and myself. It was great. We talked a lot about. It was more of a reflection of the year in the industry. We talked a lot about the trade show. Talked a lot about some legislative stuff, cigars we liked, cigars we didn't like, companies we thought hit the mark, companies we thought didn't hit the mark, shit like that. So we'll probably get into some of that tonight. There was also, sorry, I can't get my throat cleared out, and it's driving me nuts, and I apologize. But also, there was something that came up, not really specific that I wanted to talk about, but it reminded me of a bigger topic, and I texted you about something you posted about Cigar Smoking World Championship. Now, that particular issue, really not a big deal, but it got me thinking about the Cigar Smoking World Championship, and I almost kind of forgot about that, and I was thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, is that still going on? Because I feel like we haven't really I can't remember if we've ever really talked about that whole thing on the show and gotten like our opinions on it out and talked more about just things about it in general. But I almost forgot that damn thing existed, if I'm being quite honest. I mean,
Yep.
it's kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. This big deal.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something.
Sorry.
I put a story out on that yesterday, right? I almost didn't, right? I've had people who've competed in the Cigar Smoking World Championships on my show. I've tried to promote this.
Yeah.
They don't seem to want to promote this event in the U.S. And I'm like, my hands are up in the air. I did cover that because it was an Oliva cigar, and that was really the only reason. You're right. They should be promoting this. A couple years ago, they were starting to do it, and it just died off. Like they were pushing the qualification events. It's died off, and you know what? It's their event, and they want to promote it. They can certainly reach out, but I'm kind of done with it at this point. It seems like they don't want the publicity. They don't want the publicity, so don't.
I almost thought they stopped because I forgot all about it. And I'm like, oh yeah. So then I saw
because they stopped promoting it. Yeah.
And then you posted on Cigar Coop, oh yeah, by the way, Oliva was tapped to make the cigar, and I was like, oh yeah, it was Rocky. So now Rocky's out.
Yeah, I think they
do.
Yeah, they tend to do a 5-year run. It was Macanudo before that, I think, for 5 years as well. So I saw it on social media. That's how I found out about it. I happen to still be on their social media following. I still follow them on social media, and that's how I saw it. Again, I don't know. It's their event. I thought it was interesting for my readers. That's why I did it. It was a slow day yesterday, for sure, because I wasn't covering a 12 cigar release that was I wasn't going to do that. So, we could talk about that as well. But I just said, all right, I'll put it out there. But I was like, I wasn't really.
Did you hit
I kind of just saw it. No, that's not a dig at you, but that's not a dig at you, Matt. And I know I dig you on it, but it's not. I'll tell you why the 12 cigar release is not a dig. Because they sent that out to someone else in the media 2 days beforehand. And I'm like, really? Now you're going to come back to me with a 12 cigar release 2 days after you gave
Who's Cigar Aficionado?
No. No, it's another media person. If you Google, you can figure it out.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, he's talking about Charlie getting a story 2 days before the rest of us.
It wasn't Charlie, and it wasn't Charlie. It wasn't Charlie. I'm going to tell you that.
Okay. Oh, so it's not CA or Charlie. So now I'm really intrigued.
But the whole point is, you can't do that with a 12 cigar release. It doesn't get me enough traffic for me to drop what I'm doing to cover that when you gave it to someone 48 hours before. It's still so insignificant in the media. So I'm just like, fine. And I thought this was a little more interesting at least than a 12 cigar release. I was kidding you on that yesterday, Matt. Like I said,
I know.
If that's something you want to cover, that's fine. But I wasn't going to do it. After they gave it to someone else 48 hours beforehand. It didn't bother to send anybody.
It was a Warped Cigars release. It's a 12-store release where they had the retailers pick the blend.
Yeah.
It's called New Day.
New Day, 12, and you give an exclusive to someone on that. Okay. And so I'll say who it was. It was Dojo, right? And I don't have a problem with him. He's a friend of mine, right? But it doesn't work like I can tell people. It doesn't. When you have a release that small, it doesn't really get me. It's not going to get me doing handstands to go cover it, right?
Yeah.
So 48 hours is a long time. It's not like 4 hours.
Wow. I didn't know they did that, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but yeah. I know. I agree. The whole exclusives thing is kind of stupid. If you ask me.
Yeah. So back to this. I thought there was some interest level in this, right? Because it is Oliva. Majority of media still doesn't cover Oliva for whatever reason. This is a pretty. I don't have info if this cigar is getting released or not yet. I haven't been able to get an answer on that yet. But I think they've released the other two. The Macanudo I know got released, and so did the Rocky. Obviously got released.
The Rocky was actually pretty good. I liked it.
Rocky made the Coop list. Rocky made the top 25. That was a great cigar, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. Yeah, back in like 2020 or so. I remember smoking that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good actually.
They actually had that at TPE. They were the last time I was at TPE is when they were launching that, and it was a big deal for them. And the cigar, like I said, the cigar was in that Corona size, which is La Maravilla. That's the one they used for the championship. it was really good. But they typically do, like I said, typically from what I understand, it's a 5-year run they do of these, and then they move on to another. They just switch the company up. So I don't think it was any problem or anything like that. It's just from what I've been told, it's a limited period they have it for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we could sit here and talk about and dissect that whole competition, whatever it is. But, I mean, regardless of that, I guess it kind of makes sense. You kind of shake up the manufacturers every few years. Get get a different blend going. Get a different cigar maker. Get something, it makes sense. All right, I get that.
We interviewed a guy who did compete in it, and I remember this wasn't said on the show, but off the air, I think he was telling us, it's a lot harder to keep that cigar lit the first time you smoke the blend and you don't know the blend because there's certain nuances and you just know the cigar. And but
true.
as you practice, it kind of gets a little easy. I think that's why they change it up after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, that's true. It kind of you get rid of the advantage of like, I really
Yeah,
know the blend. It's like, nope, now it's a new one.
If they say that, then that's fine. I don't know if I buy that, but I'm just saying that's what I was told. So I'm not that sophisticated with it.
Yeah. I mean, the concept of because they sell them publicly too, because you can get them in cigar shops like Rockies. I remember 2 guys had it.
Yeah.
I bought it from them. It's kind of interesting too because it's like, then you get these people who actually take it seriously or they really want to try this, and they start buying boxes of it and they're just smoking it constantly because they're trying to from a marketing standpoint, it's kind of interesting because you'll get people that'll keep buying boxes of it because they keep smoking it, trying to perfect it, trying to I gotta get this done. They're just gonna keep smoking them and smoking them and smoking them and smoking them, trying to perfect that, making it last as long as you can. So in a sense, not everyone's doing that, but there's a small percentage of people. So I mean, you get some sales out of it, I guess. So it's interesting. I don't know how seriously most people take it. Probably not very. I appreciate the approach, but I think that at the end of the day, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna try to make a major league sport out of cigar smoking. What can we do? Well, here's an idea. And it's like, well, at the end of the day, it's still just smoking cigars, guys. Let's calm down.
Burning leaves. Yeah, burning leaves.
It's burning leaves. At the end of the day, this is something that people do to relax and unwind, not get amped up and take it too seriously. So I don't know. It just seems kind of like an oxymoron to me. But, some people get into it and they like it. I don't know. Anyway. So, that's Cigar Smoking World Championship for you. Let's see. Coop. Oh, by the way, one thing I want to mention, because this broke just before the show, and I know you'll probably have something to say on this. And I was actually a little shocked. Baseball news. Ricky Henderson has passed away at the age of 65. Yeah. It's young.
Yeah.
It's young.
Yeah. I actually this morning heard from someone I know who has connections with the Oakland A's. Told me this. So I heard it, and it's one of those things you don't see it anywhere. So maybe you don't know if it's true or not, but you really trust the source. And apparently it broke late afternoon. I mean, I've watched Ricky play, obviously, and he was a generational player. He was the greatest base stealer I ever saw. There hasn't been anyone really close to him since then. So I wish he would have always played for my team. He didn't, but nonetheless,
he played for my team.
Yeah. He did play. He did play for your team.
Mm-hmm.
When did he play for them? Towards the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played for a bunch of
one season, maybe 2000.
Yeah, he played for a bunch of teams towards the end, from what I remember.
He played for the Yankees, right?
He played for the A's, the Yankees, then he went back to the A's, and then he went to a whole bunch of teams, including he was with the Mets for a while.
He was with us.
Padres. He was with you guys. I think he was with you guys towards the very end, actually.
Yeah.
I think he might have retired either the year after he was with you guys. He retired, I believe, a Dodger.
I think he played when, like with Pedro and Nomar. I think like back in those days, like
Yeah.
before the World Series run. But I think he played like right there. Maybe
Yeah.
99, 2000. But I remember it was because it was recently I was reading about him and I was like looking at I was like, oh shit, I didn't know he played here. It was
And,
1 year.
You know, he had a long career too. He played well into his early 40s. So
That's true, yeah. Because he when was his first year? Like 79.
I want to say 79. Yeah.
So yeah, he was around a long time.
I mean, he was a big part of like one of the big stories of the 80s. In 1980, Billy Martin, who was the Yankee manager, went to Oakland. And there was this whole thing. Like, Oakland was terrible at the time. And he kind of rejuvenated Oakland under this whole Billy Ball thing. And Ricky Henderson was kind of like the leader of that whole team that year, of the whole Billy Ball thing.
Which, you know, and it's weird because I remember seeing some of the coverage from the final game at the Coliseum just 2 months ago. 2.5 months ago, and Ricky was there, and he was running around and meeting fans or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, and I'm like, oh, he's gone. I'm like, oh shit, wow.
Yeah,
Couldn't believe it.
yeah. He the Yankees gave up like a bunch of stiffs for him too. It was like, I remember that trade they did. They traded for a whole bunch of stiffs, and I don't think he really he didn't have a great Yankee career, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
It was really that, but he still was, like, in terms of stealing bases, he was still like leading the league. Let's put it like that. But the Yankees were in a decline in that point when he came there.
We lost a couple of good MLB veterans. You know, Pete Rose died this year. Ricky Henderson died this year. Who else died this year? I feel like there was one more. Maybe it'll come to me. I feel like there was another one though. But yeah, wow. I mean, do we know cause of death? Anyone see that?
It was pneumonia. So most likely, again, I don't know the details, but most likely it was, when you die of complications of something like pneumonia, it's sepsis usually. So, as a survivor of sepsis, I'm kind of alert to that. So don't know for sure, but that's a typical complication of something like pneumonia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just too bad. That really is too bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it's like I said, I just figured I'd bring that up really quick because I know we have a lot of baseball fans on and watch the show.
Yeah, very sad news today. I mean, he was a generational player for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Remember, he had a big fight with Bobby Valentine too. He had a big feud with Bobby Valentine in New York when he was with the Mets.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he got mad because he didn't want to go to Tokyo to play opening day. And Bobby V played in Tokyo, and I think he arranged for that whole thing for the Mets to open in Tokyo. So he was pissed, Henderson, about that. He didn't want to go out there.
Yeah. Bobby V was always kind of a weird guy. We had him for 1 year, and I'm not a big fan.
I liked him. He was kind of like fun in New York, but he had a bad year with the Red Sox. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, that was
a terrible year. He shouldn't have come back. Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
One of the things I promised we'd get into is kind of your thoughts and takeaways from the Media Roundtable show. Now I know those you had mentioned you had a couple of things, and I figured I would ask you about those now while we're on the show.
Yeah, I can only remember one. If you remember the other one, let me know. Yeah, the one comment I had was I do believe the FDA can regulate what cigar companies do with the media. I do believe they have that authority to do that. And I know that was said it wasn't. But this has come up in the past. That's why I said, and I think I questioned it more than I say I know for sure. So I want to kind of preface that I believe that they did have that authority to do that. And we know that there's been studies that have been put out already where they've looked, they've hired companies to do studies on the media. If you remember, they came back and they were looking at ads like the Fuente ad, the Drew Estate ads, and, they were coming back on that. And the whole thing around, youth having access to those types of media publications is an issue as well. So I'm not a lawyer, right? I know Pat's the lawyer here, so I always will trust what he says too. It's my biggest fear, I've said, is that they're going to age regulate us on websites and podcasts. And when I mean age regulate us, I don't mean, hey, they're going to make you check a box saying that you are over 21. I mean, they're going to involve serious registrations where you're going to have to prove and be registered in order to access the content. And I've known that's already happened in cigarettes right now. And it could definitely happen in cigars. And I brought it up to several people in the trade associations who don't seem to have the same fear I have with that. I'm like, look, they already did it with the porn industry in certain states.
I was just gonna
So-
say, I've
Yeah.
seen January 1st, 2025. The law goes into effect in Florida, and for pornography. And I happen to be on my desktop. I got the the MSN homepage, whatever, all the different news articles, and I saw this thing. I was like, it's like Pornhub blocks Florida. I was like, "What? That's so." And I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And I
Pornhub
clicked-
refuses to. Yeah,
and I
Pornhub
clicked-
refuses to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I clicked on it. I'm like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "Oh, this is like a real thing." And it was like, "Yeah,
Right.
Pornhub is going to
Yeah.
block Florida residents from just even anybody just accessing it at all." And then I started kind of going down this rabbit hole of like, "Wait, what is this going on?" And then I started realizing, like, "Oh, this is a thing. Like, they're targeting porn by state." And I'm like, wow. And so there is several states where like either certain porn sites are just inaccessible, or like they don't let you get to it unless you like upload your ID to like some database or something like that. I'm like, holy shit. But then when you said that, I'm like, yeah, if they can do it with them, they can do it with us.
They can do it with us, and look, the law was passed in North Carolina last year, and there's nothing that protected the tobacco from happening. And like I said, I know it's already happened with.
Do you know anything
If
about
you
that?
go to the old Nat
not
Sherman
the FDA,
cigarette
though.
site, the FDA I think can basically block. That's a good question, Pat. That's the part I'm a little iffy on, because from what I understand, though, they can still control. They can basically still control what you could do at age 21 or not. That's kind of what that's my understanding.
Yeah, but they can't control people, the outlet of the information. They can control who's able to access it, not the people that are posting it. And
Right.
especially when it comes to like a broad sweep of limiting media from doing what they're doing with tobacco, I currently don't see any grounds that the FDA could do that. Even before the Chevron was reversed, I don't see how they would have the legislative authority to do that.
What's to stop them from saying, "Hey, as a tobacco company, you may not advertise online"? I mean, if they did that, would they be stopped? Is what I'm saying.
There's no, with the legislative intent that they have to regulate tobacco, I don't see a planet where they could interpret that to be that they can regulate speech when it comes to advertising or media. Now, that's not to say that legislation could pass something like a statute that gives them that power, but it would have to come from the legislation. It wouldn't be something the FDA right now could just do.
Yeah, Jay had mentioned in Texas, porn sites require an ID. As a parent of a teenager, it makes me happy. Same could happen in tobacco. It's true.
Yeah, it's the tobacco. This other thing though is something. It's an issue that I'm very concerned about. That because like I said, if you go to the old Nat Sherman site and go try to access the cigarette content, you have to register. Is what I'm saying.
So I'll play devil's advocate on this one. I'm not choosing a side, but this is something I like to do. What's wrong with proving your age to access a porn site?
Nothing. But the problem is, like I said, if they carry it over to stuff like us, it will run us out of business.
People are not going to want to waste their time.
I hear you. I hear you on that.
Is that because is that the posture that we rely on people under 21 accessing the information?
We don't. But the people over 21 are not going to want to be ballsy to do it. And here's a good example,
They're
Pat.
just going to be like, I don't care.
No, so that's a good point. That's why I asked those questions.
Yeah. So when YouTube forced us to basically put in, registered that you're over 21, our YouTube numbers all tanked when it happened. People didn't want to be bothered with it anymore. And it's like, well, I don't want to be bothered with it anymore. So I understand it. I agree. As someone who has kids, I didn't want them. Now they're over 21. They probably access it anyway. But I wouldn't want them accessing it. But that being said, there's other ramifications for this law, unfortunately, which is a problem.
Well, Alan brings up an interesting point. I know it's Alan, but he did bring this up. He mentioned, I feel like it would be under the purview of the FCC, not the FDA. Now,
Internet's not regulated by the FCC.
It's
from
not.
what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Internet's not regulated by the FCC. They'd like to have control of it.
Okay. So
And
FCC
if I'm wrong,
controls
Alan,
what?
no.
Television, radio,
Yeah, television, radio, that type of stuff.
but not the. Well, that's. I mean.
I don't think they have the internet. And I could be wrong on that, but I don't think they have regulation over the internet.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with the internet, it's all about like. I don't know.
I mean, to me, I think the private sector is going to censor it before the government does. I mean, I've already seen numerous occasions where it's. I mean, YouTube I brought up last time, but then even like one of the things I was working on, it was Shaft, sex, hate, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, or firearms, tobacco.
Yeah,
And
this is
the
yeah.
SMS? Yeah, SMS texting was getting shut down from retailers for tobacco because the I didn't prep notes for this because I just thought of it just now, but it's
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The governing body, like the self-governing body for cellular communications. I forget what their name is, but they have a handbook specifically addressing tobacco, and it's one of the researches I did for the PCA. It's very broad. Premium tobacco is not mentioned, and also it's kind of it's interpreted very loosely, and I was of the opinion that premium tobacco shouldn't apply to it because of the way that they had it phrased in their handbook. But to that point, it was that private governing body that was restricting tobacco. So
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
those
yeah.
yeah, those are going to be the big issues, I think, before you see a legislative action done to censor media.
Yeah, so for what Pat, what you're talking about, and you can correct me, is there was a controversy where basically a bunch of the marketing providers were no longer sending text, was saying, we're not going to allow you guys to use our marketing tools or software to send text message alerts about tobacco events or things like that. And these marketing companies were basically subscribing to this self-governing body in communications that basically said that. So it wasn't like the government was ordering it. It was this group, this regulatory group, kind of like a PCA maybe for communications.
Yeah.
Was basically saying that hey, you can't do this. And the companies that were working with are part of this association were complying with it. So that's why a lot of these text message things with things stopped because of that. It wasn't a government thing. Yeah.
Next time we do this show in a couple weeks, I'll review my brief I wrote for the PCA on this topic, and I'll be able to talk more. If you asked me like when I did this, I knew everything about Shaft, but right now it's so far removed from me right now.
I get it. No, yeah, but I do remember the PCA. In fact, a few of us brought it to the attention of the PCA, the Shaft stuff. So I think and they were already working on it. It wasn't like we told them about it, but and then when we said, Josh, I have a staff working on this at the time, so you were probably on that staff.
Yeah.
This is about 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. Thanks for adding my workload, douchebag. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
it was a couple.
You guys did a good job with it. So I mean, you guys.
It was
did
a
good
couple
job
years
with it,
ago.
so.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
review that document, and then I'll be able to talk more
Yeah.
intelligently about
Yeah.
it next time.
Yeah, Jay had commented in, Shaft got our POS, text, emails, and rewards program shut down. The PCA is working on this, but it's a private association.
Yeah. Which at the end of the day, it's a private body, so I mean they can do whatever they want. Unfortunately, but the way that it was written
with your point. Yeah.
is. I'll talk about it next. I had the whole argument. I don't want to speak out of turn, but
Sure.
next time I'll talk about it.
Yeah, but I will agree with you, Pat. I believe your point about government versus the private sector. I agree with you on that point a lot. So yes, you're 100. I'm in spot on agreement with that.
And Coop, you had mentioned a few things to me. Your big comment was we talked about that. The point on generational bans will be challenged in court for sure.
I believe it will be challenged in court. Yeah.
And
They already have.
Which you had said too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which you had spoken a lot more on too, saying that I think a lot of people, and correct me where I'm wrong, but it'll be brought up to the Supreme Court where it'll be challenged, and most likely will be ruled against.
Against who?
Against the generational bans because they won't be. I forget. You explained this.
No, see, Charlie, I think had the posture that I wouldn't make it.
Or maybe he did.
Court.
Yeah, I know somebody did. I thought it was you.
I think it'll be upheld.
You think it'll be upheld?
I think it would. Yep.
I think it would be challenged in court. I can't say how they would rule. I'm not a lawyer, but I think it would definitely go to court.
So Charlie thought that they would they would rule against the generational bans. You think that they would uphold them?
Yes.
Yeah. I just said they were going to be challenged in court. I don't know what way. That's legal interpretation of law is well beyond what I do. So, yeah. But I just think it will go to court.
Actually, I would have to look more into that because, I mean, it's weird. Honestly, it could go both ways now that I kind of sit and think about it. Now, I think when it comes to municipal bans, I think that would just be fine. But if it was a federal generational smoking ban, that's when, because I'll just say what the legal argument is for the most part when it comes to something like that. So it's going to be due process. You have substantive due process. You have procedural due process. So substantive due process is going to be fundamental rights. So that's like your right to travel, your right to bear arms, blah, blah, blah. So within those rights, you have one called economic due process, and that's going to be the argument that I have the right to earn a living, which used to be strict scrutiny. That used to be one of the highest rights you had. Now, after the laissez-faire period, it's rational basis, which is the lowest scrutiny that you could have for any constitutional issue, which is just basically, is it arbitrary or capricious? Like, is there a rational relationship between what the government's trying to achieve and the means that they're trying to achieve it? So it's a very loose standard. And almost anything's rational, right? Like, you can rationalize anything. It's a really...
Yeah.
It's a really easy test to meet, and they could just say like we're trying to lower the risk of children smoking cigars by banning them after a certain period. But then they might be like, oh well, if you're trying to ban children, then why don't you just do something that makes it of the age of 21 when they're no longer children? So I can see it going either way. That it's not rational doing a flat ban but it depends what the government's targeting. Now, if they're going to say something like cancer, that's when you bring up the statistics of, well, is a flat-out ban going to rationally achieve your goal of minimizing whatever cancer, whatever medical issue you're trying to address? So I think in that posture, I think it could go both ways. It depends what the Supreme Court would feel on that issue. So I guess now that I kind of dig into it more, I could see it getting reversed and not being allowed. But again, it just depends who's on the court.
I can't speak too much to it because again, like Coop, like you said, like in terms of the law and the legal part of it, I don't know enough even in a general sense to even begin. But again, that's why Pat's here too. He does get it. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's nice for him to kind of break it down. Now, one of the things I was going to ask you, I don't know of anything off the top of my head that I feel like would be obvious, but is there anything else like this that is in existence where there's a ban on something that was generational or maybe not quite that way, but something similar that's not like just a flat-out like embargo ban on something like marijuana? It's a class 1 substance or whatever it is. It's federally illegal. But like, is there anything else that's like kind of more similar to this situation that has happened before? Or is this generational smoking ban thing with tobacco products, is this kind of really like the first of its kind anywhere?
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
Because typically if the government wants you to not do something, they just do a flat-out ban for it. They don't grandfather people into being able to do it. So, yeah, I mean, the only closest thing I could say is, it's not a flat-out ban, but like when it comes to different licensures, So if you have like a license to own some kind of a company, I mean, I guess you can just we'll just use tobacco. Like if you have a certain tobacco license, you get grandfathered in from the new regulation. So I guess in a way that's similar. If you had something at this point of time, you can keep it, but if people come subsequent to that, then they can't do that. But so that's the closest thing I could think of is with the licenses, not something like smoking. So no, in that sense, no. This would be the first time it's presented itself.
Yeah. Well, again, it's early, but a lot could happen, and it's something that everyone's going to be watching closely. Cigar industry wise, I guess, or tobacco industry people. And Jamie had the comment, I think right here. If states can differ on abortion, they can on generational smoking bans. And there's a lot. I mean, I think you had said before, I think it might come down to state versus federally, maybe down the road, but. Look at where we are now. Jay's right. State to state, you have abortion laws. State to state, you have legalization on recreational use of marijuana. This could fall in that category of all right, so some states, there's a generational ban on tobacco products, and then there's states like, Florida, where, no one's going to give a shit. And, that's just never going to be a thing. That seems like a likely outcome.
It's different. I mean, I'm not going to touch on the abortion debate. With the
no, I'm just using it as a closest example of the state to state argument.
It just goes to the hierarchy. You have economic due process on the way bottom of the totem pole, and then you have something like the right to privacy, which encompasses things like what you do with your body, which would be abortion. That's a little higher than economic due process. So it's different. It's hard to compare those together because there's such a it's such a higher scrutiny when it comes to a constitutional issue. But to that being said, I think the Supreme Court would likely find it's something that should be done within the states.
Yeah.
But they could find the other way just because of that scrutiny. So it could go either way.
Well, regardless, I mean it's again, it's one of those things where it's a wait and see, and then even when things start to happen, how are they counteracted or contested? It's look, the tobacco industry, especially the premium cigar industry, in itself. And Coop, you've been around a lot longer than we have. I mean, this is not anything new. People have always been trying to come after smoking and tobacco products. It's not going anywhere. This is just always going to be a topic of conversation. It's just how are they going to come after us now? And unfortunately, this is just where we're at.
Well, this is why Bear and I, a few years ago, were so adamant about them challenging Tobacco 21, because this was our fear.
Yeah.
That this would happen. So I felt we just laid down for Tobacco 21. I know all the reasons, and I won't rehash them tonight, but we didn't just not fight it. We laid down and said, give it to us, basically. And I think that was the risk, because anytime when we've seen things go against the cigar industry, we give them an inch and they want a foot. So, and this was another example of that.
And it pushes, like when we had Scott Pierce on a few weeks ago, it just kind of pushes the point that, this is a moment that we should be taking initiative, and we can really kind of shape what the next 10 years of regulation looks like. And I think we've got to be proactive with that, and it's like whenever a small municipality has something like this in the works, I think there needs to be boots on the ground addressing it. It can't be like Brookline, Mass, where just nobody paid any attention to it. Because again, now you have this small thing, no one from the premium tobacco industry did anything about it, and then it goes to the SJC in Massachusetts, it gets upheld, so now it's free reign in Massachusetts now. I mean, you have the highest court in the state saying this is fine to do, so if you just have an ordinance that just duplicates that language, it just comes to voters at that point. It's
yeah.
And then if Mass does it, like no state wants to be the first state to do it. So if Mass does kind of more of a broad sweep now, and it's not just municipal, now it's statewide. Now it's like It's like marijuana. Like, I forget what the first day was that legalized marijuana, but once one state did it, it's like, oh, okay, well, they did it, so we can do it. No, it spreads. So
I think Colorado was the first one to do full adult
I think they
recreational.
were, yes.
I think they were the first, and then I think California did it, and then Massachusetts did it, and now there's 20-something states that have recreational marijuana use.
So it's the same kind of. It's just you got to be very proactive at this point.
In fact, I think there's only 2 or 3 states in the whole country out of the 50 where it's illegal recreationally and medically. Because even like there's a lot of them that are not recreational, but they allow medical. There's only 3 that still have it fully outright, like you can't have it at all. So I mean, again, 10 years ago, but 20 years ago, when we were kids growing up, when Coop was growing up, people were going to jail and doing hard time for marijuana. Like now, it's like, what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can go into a dispensary and go home with a bunch of weed and be like, oh, this is normal. And then you go into a cigar store and it's like, oh, yeah, no, you can't buy flavored cigars because those are illegal. And it's like, what? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
You have Josh in the comments.
Oh, Josh Taberski's here. What did Josh say?
Yep.
Indiana is going to introduce a state bill this session on a generational smoking ban, as is Massachusetts. Massachusetts has announced that they are going to introduce a statewide generational ban in the session, and for 2025.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, again, one of the many reasons why I don't live in Massachusetts anymore, because I hate that shithole.
It's a big deal, though. I mean, it
is a big deal. I agree.
Yeah.
at
it
this
is.
point,
It
it's going to be a state problem before it's a federal problem.
And I think the first state to do it, that's going to be the statement where it's like, oh, shit, they did it. So it's just going to be the poster child of like, well, they did it. Why can't we do it? Oh, yeah, that's true. And it just like we all have talked about before. When the indoor smoking ban started, who did it first? California. And then what happened? It made its way across the land. And now you can't fucking smoke anywhere. So it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and to Pat's point, and I know Josh is here too, and I'm not just saying because Josh is here. I feel very confident that the leadership we have in the trade associations now are in this motion of, hey, let's go on the offensive right now. So I like that, and that's I think why I'm so I was very supportive of Josh going on, and that's not a secret, because I felt that this was rather than bring someone in who had to be maybe convinced we have to go on the offensive here, we have leadership here that knows they had to go on the offensive with this. It's very important here, so I'm very pleased. Like I said, very pleased that we have that, and some things will be out of our control, but at least I know that that's our mantra right now, as our leadership in the industry is doing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with
Yeah.
you. I appreciate Josh continue to comment here. Tennessee,
Yeah,
Hawaii, and
thank you.
California have all done so in the past and have been defeated. Much easier to fight at the state level than local. On a good news front, Detroit Airport is opening a cigar lounge and restaurant. Well, that's nice. In Detroit, of all places. That's interesting.
Yeah, great news.
Yeah, Detroit. I don't know.
I always say
that.
Miami is my favorite airport because of that one smoking lounge that you got there. Atlanta used to have one, and Denver used to have one. I don't know if they still do. So, but they used to. I've smoked in those airports. I even remember the cigars I've had in those airports. That's why. So,
Did the
of
TGI
course-
Fridays they close at Miami International?
not that I know of.
No, because I know a lot of the TGI Fridays closed.
I don't know. I'm going there. I'll be in Miami Airport in February, so I'll know. I'll have a full report. I mean, that place, that's the airport I want to get to early, so I can smoke at the airport. That's you'll probably get to 3 to 4 hours before my flight. And I don't mind if my flight's delayed.
Well, you don't care if your flight's delayed in Miami because it just means you get to spend more time in the Magic City.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna be back down there this year, but did get down a little less this year. I think next year is gonna be more, is what I'll just tell you. So.
How much more? How many trips you thinking? Double digits?
If I had to go, maybe 8 to 10, which is pretty good.
To quote the great Matthew McConaughey from Wolf of Wall Street, those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Well, it's costly too. I mean, it
I
ain't,
know,
it ain't free
I
to go
know,
to
I
Miami.
know, I know.
Someone wants to pay for my way to go to Miami. I will. 'Cause then people, then if you're down in Miami, then they kind of like take you for granted during Miami. So you got to control that a little, to make sure you're not down there too much. You're not taken for granted when you're down there. Oh, we'll
Yeah.
be down next week. It's like whatever. So 2 years ago, I noticed that started to happen. So you got to control it a bit. But usually when I go to Miami, like I said, I don't chase people around. It's like, here's what I'm gonna be. You want to smoke with me? It's great. If not, fine. Yeah. So.
What was I gonna say?
But I know I have at least 2 trips because I have Great Smoke and Pro Cigar will be down there as well.
Excuse me. And the only other thing that, we talked about casually, you had mentioned it was interesting that that the topic of TAA came up on that.
We're not going there.
round two.
We're not. Let's stop. Next topic. No, next topic.
You don't want to
guys
go
should-
there.
Next topic. Next topic. No, we're not giving them any press. We're not giving them any press.
I was gonna give him
Next
shit.
No, we don't. They shouldn't. Yeah. No. Next topic.
Wow.
I'd rather talk about Charlie's point. He made a great point about how I think he was spot on when he was talking about some of the hotels in New Orleans versus Vegas, and he made a really good point about how unfortunately New Orleans doesn't have the tourism advantage that Vegas has in terms of the casinos. Cater. They're able to reduce hotel rates. Because of some of the casinos there, and I thought that was a very good point he made.
Oh, it's
in
very,
terms of
very
prices
good
of
point.
hotel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a point about you're gonna get like a 300 square foot room in New Orleans for $400 a night, and when you go to Vegas, you can get a 600 square foot room for like $275 a night, and it's a nicer room and it's bigger.
Yep.
And why? Well, because it's Las Vegas and there's a lot
And the
more
casino
people there.
and the
casino
casinos
has
subsidize
revenue.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a very good point. I didn't think of that, and that was a very good point he made.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what Vegas has always been about. It's always been about, hey, come to town. We got the nice rooms, we got the nice restaurants, but make sure you pass through the casino, on your way to the room. And remember, you can't go into any resort and go from your room to the pool to a restaurant you have to go through the casino no matter where you go. You can't even leave the building without going through the casino. You have to go through the casino to go from your room outside. You have to go through there. And it's all by
You
design.
have to go
It's all by design. But he's right. And that's how they make up for it. Well, there's money coming in on the floor. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, yeah, give them a bigger room and, they'll spend more money when they're down on the floor because that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Now, that being said, Josh was on our show a few weeks ago, too, and I had a lot of confidence coming out of that show that PCA is doing everything possible for a really good show in New Orleans. I really do.
Yeah.
So this isn't 2015, none of the players in PCA were there. That wasn't a good show, but I think the same mistakes aren't being made this time. So, and they're being, again, forward-thinking on this, where I don't get me wrong, I don't like the fact that they have that smoking ban in the city. But that being said, I'm going in this with the glass half full now with this. So
Can you
Plus,
smoke
I'm
on
kinda glad I don't do it.
can you smoke on the street in New Orleans? Like, can you walk down the street and have a cigar, or is that banned?
I did it in 2015, so I don't think there's a ban on that.
It's just
because 2015 was the first year of the ban actually, and that was when the show was there last time, and I didn't have a problem with that.
interesting.
So we were out I know we were outside the hotels smoking and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't think there was no problem with that. It was obviously there just wasn't a lot of indoor smoking, obviously, and most of the outdoor smoking was restrictive then.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah, I just trying to prepare myself for what's to come. It's interesting. New Orleans. I've heard a lot of things, but I've never been there, so this is all new for me. I mean, it's gonna be new for a lot of people, but it's really new for me too. So, at least you've been there before.
Yeah, I've been to 2 trade shows there, and they weren't the first one. My first trade show was actually in New Orleans. It's actually where Cigar Coop was formed in a lot of ways, the concept. So, because I was a buyer at that trade show, I wasn't media that first year. So, I do have fond memories of that one. 15 was a cluster because of the weather was so bad. It was so oppressively hot there. It just wasn't a good trade show because of that. And the smoking ban had just gone into place that year. So they had, we were still able to smoke. Don't get me wrong, but it was a lot less convenient to do it.
Yeah.
I think now there's things that I feel PCA's been doing that will have places to smoke. They may not be indoors, but at least I feel comfortable now that I'll be able to smoke. So that's what we want to do. And the after hour smoking we talked about it's as important as trade show floor smoking. And no, I don't. I don't get me wrong. I still don't think all this business is done off the trade show floor. I think it's the biggest miss. However, I do think there's a lot of social interaction that happens off the trade show floor, and that I don't want to see go away.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the off the trade show floor stuff. I mean, that's huge for our.
Yeah.
I think everybody, but especially us. I mean, it's. I know you and I have gotten a lot done off of the trade show floor. So.
Yeah, but I also know like the last couple of years I've been working every night, so I haven't had a lot of chance for that. It was mostly the day before the show or the day after the show, but the last couple of years has been we've had a lot of work stuff to deal with, and this stuff you just can't go off the trade show floor and call it a night. Forget about writing stuff, backing stuff up, and charging equipment and checking equipment and blah blah. It's a lot of work. And, every night I was getting to sleep at 2:00 in the morning. So
Yep.
It wasn't because I was socializing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you something. When we go to that trade show, like I get very little sleep for 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very taxing event to go to that trade show. I mean, for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work.
People always, oh, you're going to Vegas. Oh, you're going on vacation. I'm like, I'm not going on vacation.
I'll get free cigars. I mean, that's what we do for the free cigars is all this stuff,
Oh, yeah. It's all about the free cigars. How could we forget?
Yeah.
Because that's why all of the media goes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at least we earn it, right? But some people, I think some people are into that more than others. If I'm being honest with you, I've seen it firsthand. But yeah, no. I mean, in all seriousness, yeah, it's an exhausting event.
Yeah, my team made it a little easier on me this year, but I had some personal challenges, as you guys know, this year that unfortunately just dragged it back down again. So it's weird because the Coop team every year we've had guys deal with some serious personal challenges, right? And I was the one guy who hadn't had to deal with it, and then it got hit me this year, and I was like, so I'm hoping we're all through that this year now because we've had some big things happen. So, unfortunately for our team, so not good, but hopefully we're all past that now.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it was and I think for any leader of the pack, when it comes to the teams and stuff, it's extra exhausting, because you got to make sure you're staying on top of everybody and everything's going according to plan, and it's a lot to do. And Pat, you'll see that too, eventually, and it's a lot, and I've been there too. I've had issues with the team. I've had to pivot, move stuff. Things didn't go the way I wanted it to go. It's a lot. It's not a fun time, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I was very close to having to go back home last year, and
I remember.
But if I did, I was comfortable enough that the guys had it under control, which was at least I didn't have to worry about that. And it was actually, and for folks I don't think it's a secret. My son was in the hospital. It was a serious issue he was dealing with, and both my wife and my son were telling me to stay in Vegas. Right, they're telling me to stay in Vegas because they know well. And I'm like, guys, it's just cigars again, So in the end, I ended up staying. Whether I made the right call or not, I don't know, but he's okay, which is most important. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's important to have a good team. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
putting a good team together is not easy to do, and when you don't have the the right group, it's tricky. You know, and you know, you guys have a great team. So
Yeah. So like I said, that was the part. Like and you know, I gotta say when my head wasn't in it on day one, the guys stepped up and they had to just and they made it a lot easier on me too. So yeah, they're like, look, you got to get your head together, stuff like that, and you know, you're dealing with my son's 23. He's not like a 5-year-old. Doesn't matter how old they are, is what I'm just gonna tell you. So yeah, you know, you worry about that stuff and yeah. So it was just it was tough. It was a rough. So I'm hoping we're all through that. We're all gonna have fun in New Orleans this year because every year we've had challenges on the team, with someone's had to deal with and again, we're just smoking cigars and talking about cigars. It's not as important as stuff at home. You know, we had to have one guy who did have to go home last year, and that wasn't even an issue. He's like, "You're going home." That's what we told him. You know, take care of stuff at home. So it wasn't even up for debate. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he did go home, and I'm glad he did, and it was another serious issue he had to deal with. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the way the cookie crumbles
and
sometimes.
Yeah, he came back to follow. He was back to follow. Don't worry, you're back the following year. You know, it happens. Yeah. So yeah, it's the way it happens. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I'm trying to remember if there was any topics I wanted to bring up on that show that it just didn't get to. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to cover a lot of that.
It was good
about Room 101.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
One of the topics that came up on that show was, and I think kind of some people realized it because you brought it up, right?
Yeah, I was shocked because I went last. I thought that was going to be like the first one that was called off.
Yeah, I think Pat was really the only one that really had this one ready, and I think the rest was like, oh yeah, that's true. Room 101 had kind of a quiet year this year, and you and I think, know the reason why.
I may not know the reason why, but if
I was to take a stab.
But Pat said something that I remember what he said on the show, and I'm like, oh yeah, there wasn't a 15th anniversary this year.
Correct.
However, on the other hand, I thought it was good that they didn't push the envelope with Room 101 this year. I think they got I've been saying SCG's got too many releases right now, and they just had a big hit with Johnny Tobacco, and I think they should be really working that Johnny Tobacco angle right now.
I agree. That's a great cigar. That's a great
but
cigar.
I do think when you don't do the 15th after you've done 5 anniversary stores in a row from 10 to 14, and you don't do 15, you know, people can ask questions. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, and I think that my thought process outside of the releases, you and I have talked about, Matt also seemed like he had a lot of involvement with Sancho Panza the last couple of years, and I feel like maybe a lot of, because when I saw him at PCA, he was there. You were there.
He was with Sancho Panza. Yeah,
but he was with Sancho Panza. No Room 101. And I remember saying, I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, just working. I'm like, working?
Yeah.
I'm like,
no.
Where's Room 101? Oh, I'm Sancho Panza. I'm like, oh,
well,
okay.
It's because it's Ford. Sancho Panza's general.
Right.
And
I know. But it was kind of like they kind of took him out of Room 101, which is his brand, in a way, still. And they kind of put him in front of this. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe that's their focus.
But he was involved with the whole Sancho Panza relaunch, too.
No, I know. But that's what I'm saying. I think maybe that the priority was like, well, Room 101's good. Like, let's get this kind of going. So I think maybe that part had something to do with it, too.
Yeah. You know, we were doing our...
Not being negative.
Show.
I'm just saying, like...
No. We were doing our Cigar Aficionado show, and I thought for sure Sancho Panza was going to sneak into the top 25 this year. I was surprised it didn't. So... Because, again, there's a relationship with Room 101. The cigars have been decently... They did well on Cigar Aficionado. The one they did at the trade show I thought was the best Sancho Panza they did, actually. But I thought it was good that yes, it was a quiet year for Room 101, but I thought that was a good thing. They can go into... if Fords is going to be the company in PCA this year, which I think that's the case now, they're going to go back to Fords. They could do a big push with Room 101 going into this trade show.
Do you think that Room 101 shows up and there's a 15th anniversary in 2025 and they just kind of
I think
push
there's
it out?
I can see it. I could see him doing. How many companies? Even Nick Perdomo did his 30th anniversary year, right? So there's no reason why they can't do it.
Right. So I'm saying, like, it's still possible.
Rather than go with a 15th and then have a 16th. it doesn't make sense to me. So I would say yes. I think there's a good possibility that will happen.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, most of his anniversaries go. The first one, I'll admit, and I've told Matt this, I'm not hiding it. I mean, the first one was okay. 11 was good. 12 was all right. 13 was
13,
great.
14. Pink was the 13.
Yeah, Pink was great. 14 was great. So then I was like, all right. I mean, most of them are pretty damn good. I still have like a little bit more than half a box of 11th anniversary. Did I have a 13th anniversary in there? I can't remember. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, like they're good, and from time to time I rediscover them, as I'm sure we've all been there, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm like, these are still good. These came out like 4 years ago, and I remember thinking like, oh yeah, shit, like where's the next anniversary? Because like, they're usually pretty damn good. And when Pat brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, anniversary. I'm like, shit.
But I also think that Room 101, of all the acquisitions that SCG's done over the past 10 years, this has been maybe the best one. I think this has been this is one where I actually think the brand has moved forward. I think they moved forward with this brand a bit. And okay, they didn't have a big release this year. I'm okay with that because they didn't force it. They didn't force it, right. So I didn't think they did that one that the Rocket or whatever.
Which Jay just said the Red Rocket was super disappointing, and I've heard that from a lot of people.
It was.
Did you have it?
It was a store.
It was a store only, I think, right?
They took it national.
They did take it national, but I think it was launched at Sir Louis Cigars in Massachusetts. I think it was launched there, and then after he had it, then it went out.
Yeah,
I think he had it first. I think it was his idea or something.
Yeah, I think he was involved with the whole project. There's been a couple of disappointing Room 101 releases. Like I didn't think that the Rumor was all that great that they did, but as a whole, I think they've done a good job taking that brand forward with Room 101.
Daruma aged
with
well.
Matt. Okay, so that's there you go. There's a possibility it aged well. Yeah, I mean I didn't know that. So
yeah.
But I just think like I said, I think Room 101's in a better place now than they were before the acquisition. Which I wouldn't say about a lot of the other acquisitions they've made.
Yeah, what about Alec Bradley?
Yeah.
I don't think they are right now. I think they're struggling a bit.
Yeah, I think they are too.
And the aficionado list came out this week, and Alec Bradley missed for the first time in a very, very.
Yeah, I know. That was the first thing I noted when I looked at it, was that there's no Alec Bradley on it. There's always one on there.
There's always one on there. Have you guys gotten wind of these racist Cubanas cigars that are coming out?
The what?
Racist Cubanas. That's the factory that Alec Bradley did most of their production out of in Honduras. So it's a factory. Alan Rubin didn't own that factory, but he was the main client there. He may have had a piece of it. But now Racist Cubanas is coming out with their own brands. And they're being done by Ralph Montero, who is the blender and partner in Alec Bradley. So Ralph Montero's come on board now with this Racist Cubanas brand. And they're pretty good, these cigars. And they are a bit of throwback to the old Alec Bradleys as well, tell people. So Ralph is kind of on board with this, and I think this is a company you're going to hear a lot about next year. They're just getting off the ground right now this year.
Oh, Jay just added a comment in here. We just got samples from Racist. Haven't tried yet. What? Come on, why isn't it? There we go. We just got samples from Racist. Haven't tried yet.
Yep. I mean, they're just literally launching right now, so it's you got to give them a little time. But yeah,
Is that where he had his stuff made? That factory?
Most of
He
it,
used
not all.
numerous. But yes, that would have been one of the.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
Kurt, you're talking about Kurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt. Did some stuff at Jesus Fuego's factory as well.
Well, I didn't he do that after the Alec Bradley train? Wasn't that like after he moved?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but I think he also did some Pat out of Placencia as well.
Yep.
I want to say he did some stuff out of Placencia as well.
I think I did hear that.
Those are the two factories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much public knowledge that is. That's why I was like, but it seems like people know. So.
No, I mean they were pretty. I mean the Alec Bradley thing was a pretty public thing. because I remember when they came out, a lot of the comments we had were, these don't smoke anything like Alec Bradley's, you know? So it was something very, because the original 724 was that cigar, which I was at the trade show when Kurt went and debuted that brand, and it was the talk of the trade show that year, that little brand.
724.
724, the original
Well,
724.
his original is always unique. I mean, I have a box. Well, I have a couple boxes of the original when Placentios making them. Now Fuego makes them in Nicaragua. And it's like Brazilian Monofina wrapper, Costa Rican binder, and then it's fillers from Nicaragua, the Dominican, Colombia, and Honduras. And it's like, it's such an interesting smoke. It is a very unique cigar, especially like looking at like what was out around that time. It was definitely different. And then the Hustler is another one that came out that was a big talk too, just because Fuente was the only one that had a barber pole at that point when it came out like 12 years ago. So, oh yeah, he's had some really good releases.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, his Lanceros have always kind of been the talk of the town in the Lancero department. And Coop, I know you're very picky with Lanceros, but I'm pretty sure you've had the 724 Lanceros.
We actually did a show with it. Yeah, we actually did a show with it once.
Jose Blanco, every trade show's got to get one of those off Kurt. Every trade show.
That's right.
Oh, you know, I know Kurt. Oh yeah, did he come by the booth and ask for one?
Yeah, he does it every year. Yeah.
You gotta get one of those Lanceros.
But he genuinely loves that Lancero.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, generally, I mean, he talked to me about it. He thinks it's a great Lancero, and in fairness, he can't get that cigar in Macedonia. So
Oh,
I don't know
that's
if he
true.
wanted a whole bundle of them, but did he want a whole bundle or just one?
I gave him one, but I'm sure, I guarantee you Kurt hooks him up when he comes by.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, and you know, for Jose to get that excited about a cigar and a Lancero, which is a tricky size, that says a lot. That says a lot. You know, I've always, you know, the 724 Lancero, excuse me, the 724 Lancero, I think was the first 724 cigar I ever smoked. You know, when I first started going into Twins, and you know, I got introduced to the brand. And I think that was like the one that was like, oh, everyone says our Lanceros are the best. And I started with that. And I was like, wow, this is really good. I like Lanceros, you know, and it was good. And I really liked it. And then the more I smoked them and the more I talked with people, it was like, oh, no, like those Lanceros are fucking like the real deal. And
Yeah.
I realized just how popular that particular size from 724 was.
A small brag I'll give for Kurt, too, is he doesn't pay anything for marketing. And he's been in Cigar Aficionado numerous times. So.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Unbiased reviewing.
That's true. He's made the list, I believe, one year, or if I'm not mistaken.
The top 25? He was on that list?
I believe it.
He might. He
did.
could have. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at all of their lists.
It was probably way before both of our times.
I know it's been rated above 90 before, numerous times, multiple blends, but I'm not sure if it's made a top 25. It could have. It could very well have. I've never looked into it, if that's the case or not.
Yeah, I'm not remembering for sure if it was. I do know that. Like when we do the preview show and we look at the scores, he's had cigars several times in there. But so if he did make, I'm not 100% sure on that, but he was definitely in contention.
You know, I will say, we were just with him, last weekend? Friday? Friday night?
He was around when you came by on Friday when
Anyway,
was there.
I was just, you know, chatting with him for a few minutes by the bar, and that's when he told me how old he was, and I didn't, how old is he, 61, 62?
Yeah.
He's 61?
He's
like,
only a couple years older than me, 4 years older than me. It's not that old.
Yeah, but I was like, damn, you look good for 61, you know, and gotta give it to the guy. I mean, looks good. He looks good. He is. He's a great dude. He's a smart guy.
Great guy, yeah.
He's a man of very few words, which, you know, in today's world, that's not easy to do. And I gotta give him credit. You know, he's a quiet guy, but he's a smart guy. He sees things, he hears things, he pays attention, and you know, he's a hard guy to not like. I mean, it's, you know, every time I see him, he's one of the best people in the business.
So I'm gonna put Pat on the spot here. Pat, if you can't answer this, just say you can't answer. But this would have been the 150th anniversary of 724 this year. Did he have anything planned, or is he?
I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail. I mean, we're gonna have Kurt on after the holidays,
Yeah.
so we can kind of let him address that. But it's between COVID, Alec Bradley getting bought out. It puts him in a hard position.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Like a retail store he's got to watch, and then the staffing's been hard. Everyone's having the same problems. It's not just unique to us.
Sure,
and then
I get that
obviously
totally.
with Alec Brad, it's difficult. But it's not that he was neglectful of the 150th anniversary. It was far. And then he had I shouldn't forget this name. Jimmy,
who passed away.
Jimmy, who passed away.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
He was supposed to be his second-hand guy. It's been difficult for him to progress.
I
the
was
brand,
just curious
so.
if he had anything planned, was all, because it was like, yeah, just
If everything was in place the way that it was supposed to be, yes, 100%. But I've talked to Kurt. I expect something from him coming up. You know, it's
okay.
He's working on it. I don't have a time for it. I don't think he has a time for it either. But he hasn't backed out. He's not resting 724. It's definitely something on his mind. He's just got to get the right people in place and be able to focus on it again.
Totally understand. Yep.
Yeah, I got it. Again, I'll give it to. He's a great guy, and I'm excited for him to kind of get those wheels rolling again, because I've always cheered for him. I think his cigars are great. I think he's a great dude. We're fortunate enough to get to be in his lounge and his store all the time, right up here in New Hampshire. But yeah, I mean, I want to see him back at the show. I want to see 724 grow. People need to try that cigar. I mean, what is it that Kurt always says? Start your day
with a WK.
Yeah. It's good saying.
Yeah.
I remember first time he was at the trade show, when I was there, and no, actually, it might have been the second year I saw him. It might have been when you were there with him. I remember. No, it was when Bree went with him. And I remember I went up to him early in the day, and he was just kind of like, he was ready to go, and he was just, kind of waiting for the chaos to begin. And he was like, "You want a cigar?" And I was like, "Yeah, because it's you." Because I don't smoke a lot on the show floor, which Coop knows. I don't smoke.
I don't either. Yeah.
But Kurt's like, "You want a cigar?" I'm like, "I mean, it's you, and it's I'll take one." So he brought me out a WK. He was like, "Start your day with a WK." And I was like, "Yeah." And he lit up, and I was like, "I'm gonna smoke this for you, Kurt." And I did. I smoked that thing all the way down.
And I've said it like on the first show that I was on here, like praising Kurt. Like again, like I started as a barback at Twins, and I did not smoke cigars. So being under him for 5 years is why, when it comes to the tobacco side of things, where I'm at today. So I've learned a lot from him, and he knows how to run not only a shop but a brand, and it's been invaluable to be able to sit with him for 5 years. What was that ring that just came on?
Email.
Oh, I was like, what the hell? And it's to be able to, learn from him for all those years. It's been a big beneficial component of my career within tobacco. So he's a great guy.
I agree. I remember I went up to his store once, and I had to take a work call, and I was talking, and I said, "Hey, Kurt, I just got to go out to my car and take a work call here, and I have to do it kind of in quiet." And he's like, "Use my office," and he gave me his office to use, and I was like, well, "That was really nice of him." Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. I mean,
Yeah. And this is before I met you, Matt. Actually, it was like my first time up there when that happened. So I just met Kurt too. I didn't really know Kurt that well.
Kurt's definitely somebody who, like, I first met him, he's really quiet, and it was kind of like hard to read, and I'm like, I don't know if this guy likes me or not. And as time goes on, you get to know Kurt, and you realize, like, this dude is, he's, he'll take his shirt right off his back for you. I mean, he's a good guy. He's
really, really good guy.
He is. So again, like we cheer for him, and not just because of Pat's history with them, and he's here.
You and I have talked about him long before we knew Pat. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You can go back to old episodes. You'll find it. Like I'll always say, Kurt's great. My cigar time, being here in New England, and it's Kurt and Dave. I mean, Kurt and Dave have been, those are my two retailers. Those are my home shops. I've learned a lot from both of them. They've been great to me over the years in different capacities. I can't say enough about both of them. I mean, they're great. So,
Yeah. I agree. Good guys. Both two good guys, yeah.
and they're both smart. They know how to make money. You got to give it to them. They're still here. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but anyway.
Yeah, agree.
But no, I mean, but anyway, I was just gonna say, in terms of, I forget where I was going before we got into all that, but I think I was saying I was kind of going towards things we missed on that show. You brought up the Room 101 thing, I think, which is what kind of eventually got us all into this. But outside of that, yeah, I was trying to think if there was anything that I missed from that show, from the roundtable episode, with the other medias that I wanted to discuss, and then we kind of got all off topic. So
Yeah, I don't think there was anything big you missed.
it was a quiet year. It was a quiet year.
It was a very quiet year.
It was a quiet
overall.
year, Yeah, I'm still working on my top stories of the year, and it's kind of tough because it's been a quieter year than most years, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw a lot of food reviews, come out
Yeah.
of Cigar Coop. That was huge, which Charlie, I don't know if you caught that. Charlie, he gave you a little fist bump on that one too. He said something about,
listen, yeah, I heard it, but I took it as a positive. Charlie actually helped me out with some things I added to the food reviews because
Oh, he loved it. And then he told me off the air. He was like, "Oh yeah, like I was reading them. Like I thought it was interesting. Like I wanted to hear more." Like he's like, "I wonder if there was a way to like I think was he the one saying something about like weighing the food like."
Well, that was all, and that was little things like that. And whether I spin this off into another brand this year, I'm still trying to make that decision. Because they're doing very well. There's only one piece of content a week on Coop, so it's not like I've, there's usually about 20 articles a week on Coop, so it's 1 out of 20. It's not that big a deal. And they're bringing in people outside of the cigar audience. So
you're thinking about spinning off?
I'm thinking of spinning it off, but maybe still keeping the review on once a week, but doing a more comprehensive thing. Yes,
like its own website,
like its own brand. Yeah, completely separate. Yeah.
What would you call it? Food Coop?
I haven't even gotten to that point yet.
You got to keep it somewhat close. You got to keep it all.
It won't have the word cigar in it because I'd be stupid to put the word cigar in it. But,
right. But your Coop,
well,
it's got to be like Food Coop or like Eating Coop.
Yeah.
Coop Deville or Coop Food.
Coop Poupon?
Yeah. But it's like I said, so it's a different project. It's taken it's a whole different paradigm than reviewing cigars. So at some point, if I want to grow it, it's probably got to come off of there. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's taken off enormously. I was very surprised about it. And look, to say, I don't know what the big deal is. Most cigar sites do something else besides cigars. I mean, we talk stuff right on this platform that are not cigar related. So it does happen. People talk whiskeys, and I know there's this. We even do pairings now. So there's things that you could certainly. We do music. We've done music for a while, but the music stuff is already. We have a site called Cigar Jukebox, which is people probably don't know about it, and that's a strictly music site we do where we have Dave does the music reviews, and we do a few other features on there from time to time. So that's already, but that we have. That one is more Dave's baby than mine. He kind of controls that piece. So, but yeah, we've already kind of spun some things off, is what I'm saying, and it works. It's if people like if people aren't reading the food reviews, they stop, but they're reading them. So
it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we did a lobster roll last week, and what you discovered. The last thing I'll just say about this, I'm not going to take up more time. Is you can't review every food item the same, is what I discovered. You have to, like a lobster roll is going to be scored different than a pizza, is what I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I saw that you went to Cousins Mean Lobster. I went there, too. Now, listen, I live in New England where, the main lobster roll is king. So
Right.
and I know about Rhode Island style, Connecticut style, New England style. I know about all of them. I've had them all. I have thoughts on all of them. Someone who's
Right.
lived here my entire life, as of you have. So I still feel that the New England way with the mayo on the New England roll, that's the best way.
So I want to add a question.
I am going to
this
review.
now.
I am going to review the mayo one, by the way. And I'm gonna be fair
That's
on it
the
when I do it.
way me and my family have always liked them the most. I've done the
Yeah.
Rhode Island way with the butter. It's still lobster meat, and lobster's on it. If you like lobster, you like lobster. I mean, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
It's lobster meat, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad. It's still buttery lobster on a roll.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about that lobster salad effect, where it's like it just hits. It hits.
Yeah.
So
It's
I have an
awesome.
interesting question that's going to put Coop on the spot now from what he just
Mhm.
said.
Right.
So you said that you have to, the food reviews, you can't rate every food the same. So why is that different than cigars?
Well, because because there's different ingredients, is what it
Oh.
comes down to. It.
Like cigars are all tobacco.
There's
And-
it's still a tobacco ingredient. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, the pizza and a steak. I mean, you're talking about a dough and cheese.
But what
Or
Yeah.
about like
piece of meat.
what about a short fill versus a long fill?
Ooh.
It's still tobacco, though.
Yeah.
It's still so whether I have chopped tomato
Well,
or
a
whole
pizza is
tomato,
still dough, but like a steak sandwich is still like dough with steak in it now.
Uh-oh,
It could be some Mexican
Uh-oh,
or some
Coop.
Honduran, you know.
Well,
He's pulling the
thing
prosecutor arguing
I'm
out.
just curious. I just I know I'm
No,
not
no,
I'm
no,
not saying
no.
he's wrong. I'm just curious like where his distinction is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all.
Like for example, some sandwiches come with condiments, and the condiments you want to score them, right?
There's
Some
your
sandwiches
acid.
don't-
There's your Cuba.
But it's still. But I'm scoring. I'm not scoring the individual components. I'm not scoring the flavor component. I guess at some point you make that. It's not an invalid point. It's not an invalid point. He's making. Like, would you score a flavored cigar and score the flavor infusion separate from the tobacco? That's an interesting point. I didn't think of
There's
that.
nothing wrong with what you said. I'm just it's
It's a fair point. No, it's a fair question. It's a fair question.
Taylor.
We just lost Matt. Where did he go?
He's getting alcohol because he's a.
He's getting out. In the middle of the show. He just gets up.
In
This
the
is
middle,
what
yeah, he
does.
just gets up. I put you on the hot seat.
You are the host of Smoking Tobacco, and he gets up in the middle and.
Yeah, I put
alcohol.
Coop. I put Coop in the hot seat. The fucking views are flying right now. And Matt's
Right,
like,
right.
we're gonna
And
go get
Pat
some
made a
alcohol.
good point. It's an excellent point you made, Pat. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm just it got me thinking on it.
Yeah, Matt clearly doesn't give a fuck about my point though. He just gets up. He needs alcohol for this conversation apparently.
I was trying to be a gracious
You're in your
host.
fucking Hawaiian shirt today.
Like Hawaiian Robert Caldwell look.
Fucking douchebag.
You got a lot to say, don't you?
Hey,
I welcome
I'm
you
just-
into
I'm
my
just
home,
contributing, you know?
onto my team. I take care of you.
My two
Oh,
brain cells
oh,
were going, and I asked a good
oh,
question, and you just get up
oh.
and leave me on the spot here. You
I
don't
happen
even know
to-
what Coop said back to me. You have no care for it.
I look over. I go. He finished his coffee. I know he wanted
It's
another
been empty
glass.
for a fucking hour. You decide
An hour,
right now as we need drinks. Right this instant when Pat asks a good
In the middle
question.
of the show, he just
now we're
gets
gonna get
up.
drinks.
I can see if the baby was crying. I understand.
Yeah,
that.
and you could have lied. You could have said I would have never known. I can't hear
I
anything.
have
You
two
could have
screens
lied
here,
to
so
me.
sometimes I can't see when Matt gets up. So yeah.
Well, I have to say, I have good faith in my co-host that he can handle this for 10 seconds while I go grab him something, to be a gracious host. It's nice to have that feeling.
Yeah.
You got it under
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
But wow, you're really getting me going. I'm gonna have to get into my own gear grinding segment tonight.
Gear grinding.
My beef again. So I'm not gonna get into my comments on Cam Newton because I don't want to listen to everyone be like, "Oh, he's a great guy because he's a cigar smoker." I don't give a shit about that. It had nothing to do with being a cigar smoker. It was about his ethics and his personal character as a football player and the comments he makes about football and how he brings himself into it. I don't want to hear anything about he's a good guy because he comes to cigar lounges. I don't give a shit about that. That's great. I don't
but
argue
Matt,
that.
I say stupid things too. I mean, I'm being honest here. I say stupid things. We all say stupid things sometimes.
Who said I said something stupid?
I'm just saying. Me personally, right? I hope I'm a good guy, but I say stupid things sometimes.
You're a great guy. You're a great
but
guy.
I'm just saying, like, why are you holding that against? I mean, that's your choice on that. But like I said, I'll stand by. He's a good guy. Now I haven't met him. I'm gonna be totally honest. However, I know a lot of people who've met him, so I trust these people, including people who were not Panthers fans, who had a very different impression the times they met him. So
listen, he walks in a cigar lounge, and he has a cigar. Is he a polite guy, a great guy? I've heard that a lot. Sure, I just don't like some of the comments he's made. About certain aspects of football, where like he talked about something about. I think the first thing he said that was just like, what? They were talking about. I think it was Eli Manning getting into the Hall of Fame. Now, mind you, a guy who, being from New England, I have to bring it up. I don't want to, but Coop's a Giants fan, so I'm sure he also relishes in this a little bit too. Eli's a Manning with 2 rings, and both of those rings came from beating Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I hate saying it, but it happened. It is what it is. Should be in the Hall of Fame.
but he's not first ballot Hall of Fame guy. That's
No.
my feeling.
No, but Coop, I
but
think
Kansas-
even I would agree he should be there. Even
He should
I
be
will
there,
agree he should be there.
But I'm not
And,
going to get. He should not
and
get in the
Cam
first
Newton
time.
made a comment like, well, if Eli Manning's in the Hall of Fame, then I better be in there or something like that. And I'm like, you went once and you lost, and then after the game you sat there like this.
Well, he was wrong.
That was a good game, though. That was a good Super Bowl.
It
He
was.
was wrong, and he was wrong. I'm not gonna argue that. I was very critical of him after that game, and I said, and I was critical of the Panthers for letting him get in front and leader of the team to do that. I was
See,
absolutely.
the reason why they lost was Von Miller. That's why they lost.
Von
that game.
Miller dominated that game.
That was an unbelievable game from Von Miller. That was
Yeah.
fucking insane.
Von Miller is fucking great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Peyton Manning was terrible in that game. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, I remember, like, that was the one year I played Madden Ultimate Team. And the 99 card Von Miller came out, and I'm like, oh, let's fucking go. Mammoth. That was a good, he ran a clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great game.
But no, that wasn't my only axe. I mean, I don't have an axe to grind. But it continues to come up from time to time, and it's just something annoying.
But you threw it out there. What were you
No.
expecting?
Not the Cam
Yeah.
Newton. No, not the Cam Newton thing.
Okay.
I was just making the comment like that's not what this is, because I think that's people that
Right,
already
right.
past that. I said what I wanted to say, and I'm done with it. People can keep commenting on my post, being like, "What's the problem?" Well, I fucking already wrote it down. Read it.
Well, you
It's
put
like-
it
it's
out
like the-
there
it's like the
wanting
cigar-
the debate. You wanted that debate by putting it. You
I
put
made
it
my
out there.
argument, but I made my argument in the comments, and that's all I needed. And I said what I wanted to
Okay.
say, and it didn't keep going.
Yeah.
It's like the cigar reviews when they're like, "Why'd you give this a 75? Did you read the review?" Well, no.
You
Go
but you
read
had
the
no
review.
reasons in your, you didn't have the comments in there that I'm sick of Cam Newton, and of course, and you wanted people to comment on that. There's no way you weren't looking for feedback on that.
No, I just wanted all the people who
So
were
what
sucking
did you
his dick
expect?
all the
So what
time
did
to
you-
be like, why is
No,
he?
let's
like,
not
he-
go
he-
there. But what did you expect? I mean, I'm just saying. Come on. Right.
But that wasn't what my beef was about tonight.
Okay.
This came up again, as it's always come up for a long time, and even Pat agreed with me. And I was like, something, like, I was thinking about it again this week, because there
Right.
were several incidents where it was just in my face. And I know people are going to hate it, but whatever. I don't care. What is with the Jeep thing? Like the Jeep people. And I'm not talking about, like, the guys who own a Jeep Wrangler. I mean, like a Grand Cherokee. It's the Wrangler people with, like, all the ducks on the dashboard. And when you talk to them, every conversation they have to talk about how they own a Jeep and it's a Jeep thing. It's a Jeep lifestyle. It's like their whole life. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, you like driving a Jeep. And it's just, I don't know. I know so many people, it's like their entire life, and like they work it into every conversation. And it's like you're out on the road and you see these people, and like they act like douchebags because they're driving this fucking crawler with all these ducks on the dashboard, and they got a big thing on the back that's like, oh, it's a Jeep thing. And it's like, what's so great about it? I mean, I don't know. I don't get it.
I hate it.
Yeah, see, Pat, I made like one comment. He was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm like, right?
Well, because my thing was, I didn't know what the duck thing was, and then I just was noticing ducks on dashboards, and someone that I worked with had ducks on their dashboard. I knew she had a Jeep, and I just didn't piece it together that it was Jeeps. I saw ducks with the dashboard. So I asked him, like, what's up with the duck showing up on everyone's dashboard? And then she replied, and then you could tell she was excited that everything was set up in place to say it. It's a Jeep thing. And I'm like, oh my fucking God.
I hate it.
I made her week doing
Oh,
that.
I hate it when they do it.
So
You wouldn't get it. It's a
thing.
Jeep thing. And I'm like,
and then like you go by.
I don't
and you do the
understand
Jeep
what's so
wave
great
on
about
the
it.
fucking thing. And whenever I see a Jeep, I just go out. I do the Lexus wave. I do fucking right out the window. Lexus wave.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm
you.
gonna add to it, right? Perfect example. Pat's predecessor is a Jeep guy. Okay. The one thing about Kevin is that Kevin like actually goes into the desert with his Jeep. Now that's a whole separate topic. I think it's kind of like Kevin was also fixing his Jeep all the time, and it's kind of like it's an expensive thing. I mean, you go out there and you're climbing over rocks, you fuck shit up, then you gotta like redo stuff, and it's expensive. Which is, I mean, you really gotta commit to it if you're gonna do it. But there's like this whole other race of people, not race, but like a group of the owners, right? Where they have these like tricked out Jeeps and shit, but like they never leave the pavement, but they act like, oh, I got this thing that'll like, climb over mountains. Like, when's the last time it left the pavement? Oh, never. And it's it's phony. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? I don't know. It's just so annoying. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing to be annoyed about, but it's something I don't know. It bothers me.
So I never knew about this duck thing until now. I've never noticed it.
It's a thing.
Right?
Now you're gonna see it everywhere.
Every time you see a Wrangler on the road, you're gonna see all these colorful. You go like, what is that?
Like I want to see. I don't want to see someone getting in an
What
accident.
What harm it if someone wants to put a duck on their Jeep?
It's just.
I don't want it.
It's just strange. Like
I don't
know.
want
Like,
anyone
I
to
think
get.
it's strange you guys take foot pictures in the airport. I mean, what do you want from me?
Who does that? Fred Rui? That's not me.
No, now everyone's doing it now. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
Fred Rui does it. Like, and now everyone's copying Fred. It's like the new airport
The thing
selfie
that I
thing.
thought of is I don't want to see anyone get into an accident. But I'm just like, if you watch a Jeep Wrangler get in an accident, where like the scene of it, like the ducks fucking everywhere.
What do they do? Drive by and try to throw them at each other? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
What is it? I don't know.
If they want ducks on it, I wouldn't put ducks on it. But if they
But
want to
if
do
I
it,
ask, just don't be like it's a Jeep thing. Just say I like ducks. Just say that. Don't say it's a Jeep thing.
Like for me, it was like I've had
don't
several
know how
friends
it
over
is.
the years where like you have a conversation about them, and it's like they work it into every topic, every
I've never heard of
conversation.
I mean, I think in
It's
general,
like,
anything with a
okay,
car pisses me off. Like
I get
even
it.
like the baby on board sticker. Like, excuse the fuck out of me. I wasn't gonna drive safely up until I saw the baby on board sticker. I'm gonna go extra careful when I'm driving by your car now. Like I just that's my reaction to it. Like I mean, you have a baby. You might have a baby.
I mean,
on
I
board
have a
sticker.
baby. I don't have the sign, so and I don't feel like I need one because like if there was ever really a reason.
all right.
I just made the decision to drive safely because I saw a baby on board sticker. Like it's just that's not how I work. I don't know. Like maybe I'm speaking out of turn on that, but it's I don't know.
So I just pulled up Motor Trend magazine. Just kind of
Coop's
looked at it.
here we
Coop's
go.
gonna
Yeah,
research
yeah,
this
he's
whole thing. He's
checking
like,
the
all right,
facts.
I have
He's
something.
pulling up the
And
receipt.
they said basically, they said they said the act of placing a rubber duck on someone's Jeep, which is called a Jeep duckling, began with one person, a woman by the name of Alison Parliament from a small town in the Canadian province of Ontario. She unknowingly started a movement of kindness, fellowship, and recognition with that first rubber duck she placed on a Jeep. She wanted to do it basically as an act of kindness. That's how it started. I don't see what the harm is with this. I mean, if it's not your thing, I get it, but so what?
So Kevin said that, but then he added this on here and he said she just passed. I don't know why it's doing
Yeah,
that.
she just passed away too. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about my. How do I? Yeah, I gotta turn on my focus because like
She
every
passed away
time,
last year. This woman, yeah.
it's distracting. Anyway, so yeah, Kevin said she passed away. The majority of hardcore wheelers crawlers can't stand the duck thing. So I guess to all right. So
This is my.
So now Kevin. Kevin brings this in, right? And look, Kevin's profile picture. He's a Jeep guy, right? And he's telling you that the majority of hardcore Jeep people can't stand. So when you see the duck thing, are these the phony like Jeep people?
This is my thing. If I ask, why the ducks? If you gave me the answer of the woman with the ducks, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. But I bet most of the people that do it don't have any fucking clue.
I agree. Yeah.
See,
and
now-
it's
okay.
just a Jeep thing. It's fuck you.
So now that I know the
wait,
story,
wait.
hold on. Let me just say this first. Now that I know the story, okay, he's right. Everyone, it's a nice thing. This lady did it. Okay, I understand that, and that's nice that this lady did that. But to Pat's point, when you ask people about it, it's like, oh, it's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't get it. It's
I
like,
could buy a Jeep.
you can't just fucking tell me the story.
I could buy
Oh,
a
this
Jeep.
lady did it. It was a thing. Oh, that's nice.
I could buy a Jeep.
That's nice.
I could get a fucking big ass dildo, and I'll fucking pluck it on the back window.
I mean, that's a little
And
extreme.
then people will be like,
That's a
oh,
little
what's that
extreme.
for? It's a Jeep thing. I guarantee you some Jeep people start doing it. Oh, it's a Jeep thing.
I mean, that's a little extreme, but
I'm just saying, like, it's
I
it's
think
the
for
Jeep
me,
culture.
it was like kind of like the Pat's point. It's like those people just have this like certain way about that. It's not about what the Ducks is. It's the way they act about it. Like, oh,
just the-
like
it's
it's
you
like our
wouldn't get
secret.
it.
It's
Yeah,
like a
it's a Jeep
secret thing. It's like Kevin just said, the lady did it and blah 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 blah, and like it was nice. Okay, great. Why can't like other people do that? Like they always act like it's like, oh, it's like the secret Jeep society thing. Like you're not a Jeep guy. It's like it's a Jeep. You're not like in the Ferrari Owners Club of America. I don't know.
I know what you're saying, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't get annoyed by it. It's just it's not my
It's
thing.
not
I'm
one. It's
putting-
not the one thing. It's a lot of things about those people that it's come to light. And
What
I'm
people?
Like,
I haven't.
People
who-
that
I've
who
I've
turn
gotten
people on a daily
into.
basis with this?
So I
do that
drive
as-
a Lexus, and I don't identify
drive a
as a
Lexus
Lexus
too.
driver. And
I'm
I
a Lexus
think
driver too.
I think
Why is
Toyota is an amazing vehicle, but I've gotten in debates with Jeep people, and it's just the debates are just so stupid. And it's not that like what's a superior car, because like a Jeep's a good car. I like how it's customizable by the consumer.
well,
it's a one of a kind thing.
It's a unique vehicle.
It's a unique vehicle.
It was originally a military vehicle. That's what they
if
were.
you're sitting there and you're just debating against, it's just the debates are just the things that frustrate me, because it's
like
it's
all right,
not a superior
on.
vehicle. Like
Hold on.
it's not like
Hold on. It's like the do you remember when the hybrids first came out? And like remember when South Park made fun of them? And because it was like everyone who bought one, it was like, oh, like look at me, I bought a hybrid because I'm saving the world. And it was like, okay, but like they went out of their way to be like, look, I bought a hybrid because I'm going green. Make sure you notice. It's like, just do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't need like to make a thing out of it. Just do it and move on.
yeah, that's
It's
it.
like the people who like feed the homeless, but then they're like they take a picture like, look, I'm feeding the homeless. That's like Jim Carrey once made a comment, right? And it was like, you can do acts of kindness. You don't need the recognition for it. Like just do it. 'Cause, like
I look
that's-
at the people that have like the big YouTube videos of like they go to like a restaurant, they buy like 100 fucking turkey club sandwiches and they give them out to the homeless, and it's like, yo, this is a kind act. And then like the YouTube makes like stupid money from views, and it's like,
Yeah, I agree on that, Pat. Yeah, that's wrong. I agree with you. That's ridiculous. So the more important question: what kind of Lexus do you drive?
Oh,
So an IS 250 Sport.
Okay,
Sport?
I have an RX 350. Mine's 8 years old though. It's 2016.
Mine's 2013.
But I tend to keep. I keep my cars a long time. So yeah, I've had only 2 cars in the last 17 years, and both have been Lexuses. My dad was a Lexus before he retired. Was a Lexus dealer.
See,
He
I
was a
love
gentleman.
anything that Toyota makes. I think it's reliable cars.
We,
but
we,
I'm
we,
not
we
like
have all we
I'm
too.
not a
We
cult-
we're
cult person. Like I like Jeeps because I like how they're customizable. I personally
Right.
would have no care to do it, but I like how you can do that. It's unique. I like how BMWs look. I don't like how much of the maintenance them, because I find a lot of them have issues. But I have different appreciations for cars. I'm not going to sit here and be like fucking Lexus squad. If you don't have a Lexus, go fuck yourself.
No, I just kept. I'm like you, Pat. Well, we have my wife drives Prius. So we are big Toyota people in this house. Well, we've had a lot of Toyotas over the years.
look, they sell a
So,
lot of
yeah.
cars. They last a long time. I mean,
Yeah, it's just we've been comfortable. We have relationships with the dealers who are very good dealerships to deal with. We trust them. So we're my obviously my family was in the business for a while with it, so I'm comfortable with it.
his dad used to be a driver. If you didn't
Yep.
know that.
Before, yep, he was a driver, and then when
Drove
he
a
sold
lot
the
of cool
company,
people,
went
too.
into, yeah, yep. He had a limo company, and he drove. He had a contract with CBS Records, so he drove talent and executives.
Mm-hmm.
But he sold the company, and then he went to car dealerships. So the second half of his career.
Yeah, Coop's dad was cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he was a. Yeah, but he would have been saying WT. He was a big car guy, right? So, you know, he kind of got the whole thing about we always said he had 3 kids, my sister, and his cars. But I don't think he would have gotten this duck thing either. He's saying, "Why are you putting a duck on the dashboard? It doesn't." He'd be going off on the integrity of the car and stuff like that. He would have been doing that. He would have absolutely been doing that.
I will add a new piece to this. We were on this conversation, right? I will add a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not the Cybertruck. Like, we're seeing them on the road now, and I'm telling you, man, I see them on the road, and I just like every time I'm just like, I'm not even like it's not even like it's annoying. It's just kind of like I look at that thing like in person now, and
They'll
I'm like,
go away. They'll pass.
I'm just
They'll
like,
be a fad.
I cannot believe that this is a real thing. Like, it looks like it
will-
looks like it drove right out of a video game. I'm like,
I think it's like
what is
I
this
think
thing?
it's just like a prestige thing. Like when you see one, you're like, that guy's got money.
Dude, and they're like
it's an eye-opener.
they're like 100 and what, 50 grand for that thing?
Right, but
Yeah, they're pricey.
It's like, what the fuck? And
That's what it is. I don't think it's anyone's like main vehicle. I think it's like a toy. It's like, oh, look at me, I have a
and it
Cybertruck.
doesn't look like it's like. It looks like it's a pain in the ass to drive. Like it does like the angles and shit. Like it.
See, I feel like
your
unless
visibility
I feel like
doesn't feel
unless
good.
you drive it, you can't make that comment though, because we don't know. What it's
No,
like
I
to drive
can't.
it.
But just looking at it, I feel like
It looks weird.
it looks like it would be hard to see out of. You know, I don't know. But it is. It's an odd vehicle. I see him on the road. I'm just like why? I'm like I don't understand. I'm like, why? It's just so like it looks like a video game like car. Like I'm just like that's a real thing. I can't believe it. I don't know. I think Coop's right. I think it goes away. I think it goes away.
Yeah, I don't think.
They keep getting recalled. Every time I turn around, I see like Tesla recalls 70,000 vehicles, and like the Cybertrucks are always in there. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's my annoying thing of the week, I guess. No, I don't have as many as Pat does. I mean, for me, it's like, oh, okay, but like Pat's got something new like every other day.
I got a handful every other day. I just don't.
Half of them are about coffee. I mean, I don't.
Well, then
Could take his coffee seriously.
You're scraping the surface.
You're in the wrong business. You should be in the coffee business. You have a lot to say about coffee.
It's.
Next is gonna be like, why do they roast the beans like so damn long? I mean, I think that as a coffee connoisseur.
Well, Dunks roast the fuck out of it. I'll tell you that.
We're going back to this now.
Yeah, don't open that wound up again.
If you want to talk coffee, who you got to get him on with? You got to get him on with McTavish. McTavish is the guy you got to talk about coffee with. That's the guy right there.
Coffee surgeon, yeah.
Coffee surgeon. That's right. He you want to talk about coffee? This dude takes it.
He makes coffee at the compound every year, and he brings equipment to make coffee. It grinds the beans. It's a very intense job he's got.
Coop, I don't want to spend too much time on CA.
No, I didn't want to either. We beat it to death last week on our show, yeah.
But I guess really quickly, just while we're here, I glanced at the list the other day. I don't spend a lot of time on it. To me, the list comes out. Everyone hits me up. Oh my God, did you see the list? Like, what do you think? And I'm like, I have my own stuff to do. I don't really care. It doesn't really affect me personally. That's just my, for me, I look at it whenever it comes out because I'm curious. Like, okay, so who got number one? Okay, yeah, interesting. I mean, and look, and half the people on that list, most of the people on the list, I know them all. Great for them. They get recognition. They deserve any recognition that they get, whether it's CA or it's you guys or it's us or it's whoever. Dojo, Half Wheel. Look, we all know these people. We know how hard they work. They make great products. Any recognition they get, they deserve. Totally for that. But, the CA list is the CA list. I get it. Don Pepin gets Cigar of the Year this year. which I think is was that his first one? Did he get one before?
No, the
Third.
Le
This
Bijou
is-
Torpedo
Yeah, I
got
was gonna
20.
say because he's gotten it.
And Florida Sentias. This
Yeah.
is his third.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So he's got 3. Padron's got 3, right?
4.
Padron's got 4. He's got 3.
Fuente's
got 3. Who else has multiples?
Carrillo.
Korea.
Carrillo's
oh, yeah.
got 2, and
He's got 2.
Habanos.
Well, then
Habanos has
Habanos
it.
is kind of its own thing. They got a ton of.
Yeah, it's kind of its own thing. Yeah, but yeah. So
Yeah. I mean,
I like my opinion every year of
Great
that
Factory.
list is like, and I know what they review. I don't necessarily keep track of what they score it. I'm always shocked by what their list is.
Right.
Every year it shocks me.
right.
It's I guess I'm speaking as a consumer because again I'm a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get it. Like the judge this year, I don't get where the rationale is. I really don't get it.
I think the thing about the CA list that's different than most of all of our lists is just about everyone else's list is kind of based on
Like the news, yeah,
just the
and
newest
it's-
products.
And I like how they just it's like the entire lineup of cigars and everything. But it's like it gets to the point where it's like predictable. And now could it be because every single year there's an Oliva V Melanio on it. It's always on there somewhere. The same fucking cigar, different size maybe, but it's always an Oliva V Melanio. Now, is it because it's that great and consistent of a cigar? It's on the list every year, maybe. But it's just getting like there's some predictable factors that's going to be on there, but then it's always kind of even like last year with the Chateau getting #1 from Fuente, the Opus Chateau. Everyone knows me. I'm a huge Opus whore, and I was even like,
that's a statement.
but I was like, still like, why out of everything that Fuente does, why was that the one? And I just don't get it. I don't look at the ratings, so I could be speaking out of line here, but
Honestly, I'll be honest with you, the most shocking thing about the CA list, for me this year, was the fact that when I was in the humidor yesterday, I saw that cigar still sitting on the shelf. Normally, like the minute that list comes out, whatever that #1 cigar is.
Oh no! When
gone.
the first thing when I walked in, I saw.
I was
Somebody,
surprised, like, wow,
no,
they're still
the
here.
first when I walked in the humidor yesterday, a guy came in, bought 3 judges. Now it could have been just because he was coming getting him anyway. Because again, that is like the judge is a cigar that people buy.
I mean, it's been around for a while. It's a popular cigar.
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's. I don't know. And it's a great cigar. I love the judge. Now I don't like the. I like the more of the Toro size. The Robusto got it's like a 60-something gauge, I think. But like the other size is the one that I like.
Which
but-
Jay made an interesting comment. He said the only thing that intrigued me about the CA list, the top 2 were 60 ring.
Yeah.
So who was number 2?
like Monte Cristo, 1935
Yes, the
anniversary.
Espasos. Which
Oh, yeah.
when that came out 2 years ago, I thought that was a kick-ass cigar. So
I love that cigar.
I don't disagree with that cigar at all.
That's a great cigar.
Yeah, the 35 anniversary.
And
I
I'm
love
not a
that
60
cigar.
gauge guy either, and the Espasos is insane.
Yeah.
All right, I got a couple comments to make on this. So let me just make the first comment. I agree with most of what you're saying.
Yeah.
I always tell people this is a different list in that it's a performance. It's about performance, and but this is the first thing I say to anyone. If you're gonna tell me that most of these online lists are better than the CA list, I'm gonna tell you to have your head examined. And I'm not talking about us here. I have seen some atrocious online.
Oh, I didn't
lists.
say that.
That's the first thing
Yeah.
I'll say to people beforehand is go look at some of the garbage that's out there. Like people scribbling stuff on the back of a napkin the day before. People don't even know the cigar names. I mean, okay. So before we say that, like, there's a better list, and I'm not saying the Coop list is better. It has its flaws, as do all of our lists.
Mm-hmm.
I will say if you've watched our show, we break it down. We break down the predictability model like no one else does. Okay, in that we employ this bracketology concept, and if you look at every year, there's companies that have you have a guaranteed conference slot in the NCAA tournament. There are about 11 companies that have a guaranteed slot every year that never miss the list. And in fact, the first time, even Alec Bradley, we gave that slot to STG this year, and they got it right. So. That is what goes on with that list, and What I will say is most of these cigars are pretty good performers, but there's always a couple that are going to scratch your head on this list from time to time. I mean, I just, and that's just the nature of this right now. So I'll say this: the judge didn't surprise me at all. I thought it was going to be Padron this year, but is Purple going to tell me that a Padron 1926 is a bad cigar? Are you going to tell me if you had the Rocky Patel conviction, you know that's a great cigar? Eye of the Bulls on here. Milano Maduro. I get it's not a sexy pick, but it's a really good cigar.
It's a solid pick. It sells a lot of units.
Yeah. Pat said the judge is a pretty good seller for them. It's not. I wouldn't say it's their biggest seller. It may get a little boost for this, but it's not. Like I heard people. Juan Cancel was telling me it's not an exciting list. Juan, what would excite you on this list? He couldn't tell me. Every time I asked him, "What do you?"
Habanos.
What?
How many Habanos?
So there's 2
3.
Habanos in the top 10,
There was
which I completely.
There's only 3 Habanos.
I smoke
out
a
of
good
all
amount
25?
of Cubans. I cannot picture a Cuban doing that well whenever. I'm sorry. Like at this.
Listen,
at this
Cohiba. Well, prior to his lineage is great. I will say, Cohiba Maduro. I'm scratching my head on that one. I don't get that one at all. The Romeo Julieta White Churchill. I've had that very good cigar.
That's a good cigar, yeah.
That's a very good cigar.
I think I
yeah.
have some.
So,
and then the Brick House Churchill. I mean, I love JC. I love the Brick
they
House.
love that cigar. That's made.
It's a
they
daily
love the
cigar. I smoke it very often. Not the Churchill, the Toro, but again, I don't know. You give me a look, Matt, like I just misspoke.
Well, a good example, like Perdomo made it this year, and congrats to Nick Perdomo. I mean,
See, and I thought that cigar would get higher. That shocked me how low that got.
That when you look at that cigar versus some, and it was 22 on the Coop list, right? But that's still pretty good on the Coop list too. But you may see some other Perdomos higher, is what I'm saying on that one. But when I looked at what was ahead of this, I'm like, you could have easily bumped this thing into the top 5 or top 4 with no problem. I mean, I could have easily made that argument with that. So I don't know quite what their criteria was with that. For sure.
And then the Notarno getting on there is shocking. And then it sucked because it's getting discontinued.
That's true, too.
Yeah. And I don't think they had any idea because that discontinue was only announced
recently.
Like a couple of days beforehand. Yeah, they already had probably this list built by that point. I was a little shocked about Suma making the top 25, not because I didn't think it was a bad cigar. It was a surprise because there's a limited number of slots for those companies that are not in the lock positions. That's where this becomes a little tricky. Like Aganorsa missed it this year completely.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought Aganorsa was going to make it. I think they got the wrong Casada cigar, by the way. It was the Colorado 15 was good, but there was a better cigar that came out this year.
I was surprised to see Perdomo on their list.
Even Placencia.
And again, not because I think it was bad. I mean, I think you're going to see Perdomo on our list, but I feel like I don't see a lot of Perdomo in CA.
They did review him this year, and they did well. So I was glad they were reviewed.
But historically, I feel like they don't usually, right?
They historically, for whatever reason, I guess there hasn't been the relationship there. Perdomo's been more of a Cigar Journal brand. They do really well. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to get number 1 on Cigar Journal this year. That would not surprise me. For that, but I didn't think I this year with the number 1, it was a cigar I didn't love. Okay, but I'm not saying it didn't deserve it. It just wasn't my profile to judge. But the judge has been a pretty good performer for them. At my father. I mean, you got to tell me it's better than 100 años. No way. It's not better than 100 años.
I agree with that, but it's
not.
I expected that to make it, but I think it came out too late. Actually, I don't even know if they reviewed it.
It made it last year. It made it last year actually, but it was down. It was like 14 or something. They had it last year. But I don't know. I think people, what they want with this list, this is where I think they want this list to be more boutique-y and they want it to be more new cigars. And I think if they had that, you see a different reaction. But the magazines has pretty much said that this is the way they're going to do it. And I hear everyone complain about it, right? But everyone's talking about this list. So it obviously still has juice, is what I tell people. That's why we do it. When we didn't do the Cigar Aficionado preview show, we skipped a year. We got so much feedback. Why didn't you do the show? We didn't do the show because they changed the dates of the reveal was the problem. So we couldn't do a show because they moved it up to December. people are interested in this. They're more interested in it than the Coop list. I won't lie to you. The
Oh,
Coop list is better. I won't lie to you.
My takeaway from the CA list every year is that the Series V Melanio is the best fucking cigar on the planet because it makes it every year. It's literally no fail. It's there all the time.
It's a V Melanio, or Maduro. It's like one. Yeah.
Granted, it is it's a great. It's one of those cigars you can put down, come back to in a year. It's the same fucking cigar. Like I'm not knocking the cigar by any means, but it's always on that list. It's just
yeah. It's always there. It's like I said. That's when we do the automatic bid that Oliva, and it's always a V. Typically a Melanio. Yeah.
Vince added it, and McAuliffe, of course, left out, which I don't think you're going to see McAuliffe on the CA list anymore.
No, I don't think you'll see him anymore on there after they've done some. They made a decision to not. And that's pretty public. They made a decision to move away from CA, and they were very public about it.
Yep.
But the way that the trick is, if you look at the cigars that are rated 91 or above, those are the ones that are eligible. And there was nothing from McAuliffe rated 91 or above this year, so they weren't eligible. Last year they had a couple eligible, but not this year. And then you look at that, and then you kind of figure out the slots, and then you have to figure out the companies that don't make it every year, which one's going to make it.
You know what I find interesting about the list, though? There's one company, and even across all of their brands, who's not on this list. And I feel like we have talked about this before. Not one Davidoff cigar was on that list.
They made it last year. Though. The Nicaragua made it last year.
Did they?
But, yeah. But we actually, when we were doing the show, we thought this was going to be a strong year for Davidoff. They had some good cigars. They had the Grand Cru on there. They had a couple Camachos. There was a couple Avos on there. We thought there was a good shot. That we were surprised at that. And Davidoff seems like they've been embracing CA a little more lately.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a surprise to me for sure.
White Label is surprising, but not even Camacho, Avo, they had nothing on there. And I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, when we were doing the show, a lot of us thought Davidoff had a slot locked up. They're never a guarantee. They're not one of those guaranteed companies that make it every year. But we thought this was a strong enough year where and John is the data guy. So John really does that's how this all started. That's why he's on the show every year with this, because he's the data guy, and he puts this data together, and we gave a platform to do it. But he thought for sure Davidoff was going to make it.
So my question is, based on this top 25 list, when Charlie puts out the consensus, how many of these cigars do you think show up on the consensus?
Well, problem with that is,
I don't think there's one that shows up on the consensus.
I think there may be a couple, but not more than that. I think possibly the Perdomo. A lot of people are gonna.
Oh, you know what? Yes. That's the only one.
Perdomo.
Show up.
But maybe. But here's the other thing, just the one about Charlie. Charlie does incorporate print publications in there, right? So because of that, you might see an Oliva Series V or Monte Cristo 1935 or Padron sneak in there because of that. But because he does incorporate the print people as well. But I would say Perdomo is the one that I would look at. I don't think Suma, because Suma was more of a last year release for a lot of people. And most people do.
That was on our list last year. I think it was on
you guys
your
had it
list
high
last
year. You guys had it high last year.
It was like number 4 or number 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the answer is I don't think many. Pat, if 2 to 3 would be a lot on here. Because, again, most people aren't going to be reviewing these cigars or even smoking these cigars. Like I said, Perdomo will probably be the only one. And Perdomo's going to get hurt a little because there's 3 blends. So people may split their allegiance with the blend, particularly if they only put one cigar per company on.
Yeah,
I thought the Sun-Grown was the best one, and that's what CA put on there.
Yeah, they did the Sun-Grown.
They were all really good.
They're all very good, but the Sun-Grown was 1 or 2 points above the Maduro for me, and then the Connecticut would come in 3rd place for me.
I think so too. I liked the Connecticut, but smoking all 3, I mean, for me, I've always been very public about this. I've always been very, very heavily favored on anything Sun-Grown that the Perdomos do. Pretty much all of my favorite Perdomos are all the Sun-Growns. Maduros I kind of got back into with Perdomo. like when the 10th came out, when they got rid
The
of
10 Maduro was a fucking insane cigar.
when they
Thursday was great.
well when they got rid of Noir, and when they kind of redid that 10th anniversary a few years ago, and they did the Sun Grown and the Maduro, that Maduro was one of the Maduros I was like, fuck, this is great. It really brought me back into Perdomo's Maduros, and then the 30th Maduro I thought was great, but there's something about the Sun Grown. There's something about his Sun Growns. Every time I'm like, yep, that Sun Grown's perfect. I like it's every time. So no surprise to see it getting, recognition. I'm with Pat. I mean, I think out of the three, I think the Maduro scored higher on our website this year, but I think the Sun Grown is probably the best of the three.
And it could be by like 1 or 2 points, but it's just a little. And the thing is, I think the 30th for them, and for me, usually like I'll pick and choose. Like if I want a Connecticut, I'll get this Connecticut. If I want a Maduro from them, I'll get this Maduro. But out of the 30th, I think as a line, all three of those cigars are like the only things I could smoke from Perdomo now. I think all three of them are just like the top in all the categories for me, with Maduro, Sun Grown, Connecticut.
Where they may get hurt on some of the online media is because they released so late last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes those late, and that's why I changed my whole calendar the way I did. Those late year releases sometimes get forgotten about. So, and it was like when he came out with that, even if I wanted to review it, I couldn't because I was already doing videos and thumbnails for the top list already. So there was no way I could even get to it by that point.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah,
we had this conversation because last year, when it came out, we were already doing our stuff, and the team was already talking. I was like,
yeah,
it's not eligible this year, guys. But as soon as we get through the end of the year and the list, like those three cigars are the first three cigars we're reviewing for 2025. I mean, we made we got them in because we knew this is like it was great, and this is going to be big, and it's probably going to be list worthy, but next year.
Did 2 guys nominate this cigar for cigar of the year
in their contenders pack?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
And do you know which one?
I'm pretty sure one
it
will
win
it.
I predict they'll win it. Because that's sales driven, I assume mostly. I mean, I know there's other factors, but I think ultimately that cigar, I think it was a monster seller for them from what I saw online.
Sun Grown is on.
Yeah, that's a monster seller. So I mean, that's not disrespecting any of the other cigars, which are really good.
So they have. Is that all of them? Hold on.
I only know that the other one I know that's in there is the Christoph 20th.
Yeah, that's a good cigar.
That's in there. Rocky Patel Gold, the Blackened Shade 84, McAuliffe Blue, United Connecticut, the round, and the Adventure. Which Adventure is that?
What color's the band?
The light blue.
Blue-eyed Jack.
Yes. That's and I think that's all of them. So that's the contenders pack for Cigar 30.
I mean, again, if I had to pick one, knowing what I've observed from Cigar Authority and 2 guys, I don't see Perdomo losing that. I mean, I think that cigar sold head and shoulders above the others, and in my opinion, it's the best cigar in the pack, as well.
I mean, yeah.
I can't see that losing. I mean, it seems like
that cigar was fantastic. I mean,
again, that's not a knock on any of the other cigars.
No.
Which are really, really good.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing with Perdomo, though. They don't always have something new. It's not every year for them, which I think is good for how they do their business. I think it's great. But when they do, they clean house. I mean, because for that reason, they don't always have something. But when they do, it's because they have something they've spent a lot of time on, and it comes out, and it's like boom.
I mean, yeah, I was down at the factory. This is right before the pandemic in 2020, and Nick was talking about, he was showing us the tobaccos for the 30th, and we were smoking fumas of it and everything. So, I mean, we knew they were working on this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And as a consumer, without any objectiveness with reviews and just so all subjective, I think factoring the price in, the consistency, and the flavor, to me, the Sun Grown is the best cigar that I smoked that came out last year. I say last year, it's really this year, but that weird purgatory time that it came out. With all the subjectiveness I have, to me,
it was a weird time.
If you factor everything in, the price, that's my number one, I think, this year.
Honestly, I think last year, I think Perdomo would have released it earlier in the year if they could have, and I don't think they were able to. But I think they released it when they did because they were able to get it in for the holidays. But if they could have had it out 2 or 3 months before, they would have.
Nick was going to sell this cigar if he released it no matter what. I mean, it was like...
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, just wasn't ready, because I know they had some issues and stuff like that. It was a peculiar time, but I think they kind of squeezed it in for the holidays.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to throw darts at the media, but I guess I am with this. If you guys haven't smoked that cigar or even reviewed that whole 30th line, shame on you. Shame on you if you haven't. Because all 3 of those cigars are spectacular in my book. And it may be the strongest release. It may be the strongest release across the board that they've ever done.
I think that 30th, I mean, let me tell you something, and I think everyone here agrees. There's very few cigars from Perdomo that I think I would ever say weren't even like that spectacular. Everything they make is pretty damn good. It's consistent. It's great. Every time something has come out, I've always been excited. But that 30th, I think, might be some of the best cigars they've ever made.
And I'll say, marketing is not a big deal, like, when it comes to the tobacco, but the packaging for it, like, everything about it, it's just so well executed.
It's just so, like, even for Perdomo, it's even more over the top than normal. I mean, it's wow.
I mean, give Arthur Kemper, and I know he gets a lot of credit for the packaging, and Nicholas, and anyone else at Perdomo, as well as Nick, of course. But their packaging game at Perdomo in the last 6 or 7 years, they've really stepped it up. And they had good packaging beforehand, but they embellished a lot of the other packaging. Just the changes they made on Lot 23 were just subtle, but, man, they pop now, and it's just they are at the top of the game what they're doing with packaging right now. They don't over-engineer their boxes or anything like that. I love the style boxes. They're mostly those wrap-style boxes, the wrap-style cedar boxes. I love that look. Mm-hmm. That's a great look. And don't change it, Nick. Don't go to these China boxes, please. Keep the boxes that you're doing. And I'm sure you will, because these are beautiful. I bought several boxes of the 30th this year. So, not one. Yeah, I bought several across the different lines. So, and I love those boxes.
Yeah, the boxes are and they make all their own stuff too. They're very vertically integrated. They make those boxes. The only thing they don't make is the inserts and the bands. They come from Holland. Because that was one of the reasons why it was delayed. Because I remember Nick telling us, the cigars have been sitting in the raging room. He goes, I don't have the inserts and the bands.
And credit for him. Yeah, credit to him on all that again. For making that happen.
So, again, I think you're right. I think you want to talk about in general. People to watch for 2025 or 2024 for all the lists this year. I mean, Perdomo is. I anticipate them being high on the consensus as well.
I think the bronze back is going to be there too.
I think the bronze back will be up there. I think Perdomo's 30th will be up there.
Who predicted the bronze back was going to be the tall? I said before the trade show that was going to be a monster because of the price point. And it's become. I agree. I think bronzeback. I already saw it got a number 1, so it's probably going to be a definite factor for the. And Saka knows how to work the consensus better than anybody. So we've talked about that a lot.
What's interesting, I was with Dave Lafferty last night at Twins, and we were talking about it, and he was telling me how when he was at the trade show, they all have their cigars that they smoke, while they're with customers and clients and all that, and he's like. I could smoke whatever I want. He goes, but I had I was blowing through bundles and bundles of the bronze back, and it was just they're so good.
They were smoking exceptional is what I'll say. They were.
Yeah.
They were. We all came out of that and said that was most of the guys thought that was the best cigar. That and the Macanudo, were 1, 2, and everyone's coming out of the trade show list. So.
And I remember, and he said to me, he goes, I said to Steve. These bronze backs, they're hitting, they're great. And he's in typical Steve answer was the idea is to make a good cigar, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. But he was trying to make the point, for what it is.
He said, that's a weird way to say thank you.
Yeah. But his point that he was trying to make was for what it is. I mean, it's a more budget friendly cigar. He's it's almost smoking better than everything else.
I'll be excited to see because he's going to make another size for that next year. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Make another size. I don't know. I see people like this one.
You know,
They're still
everyone
buying it.
wants a Toro, and you know, you gotta have a Toro, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't care what you want. I don't like it. I'm gonna spend 5 years in Nika, 50 blends. I'm gonna go make a variety box called Go Fuck Yourself Again with 10 Toros I made, meticulously blended until I selected the number one in my favorite size and blend for the Umbagog Bronzeback. And it's going to be called the Silverback. Not the Bronzeback, the Silverback.
I actually, on the jukebox show we did last week, Dave and I smoked some of the Lanceros. We smoked the Lancero. I smoked the number 5 Lancero. I wanted to hate it. I didn't. It was really good.
I wanted to hate it, but I didn't. I like that.
I
wanted to hate it.
You know, because I don't like Lanceros. I'm like, why is he doing these Lanceros? But I have to be fair and go into it with an open mind. I did. It was a really good cigar. I'd buy a box of those if he came out with the number 5 blend.
Yeah, I like that variety pack he did. I did like it. It was a good idea that he did.
So
he had more people talk about Lanceros, Pat, than I ever remember going into a trade show. So he did something. He had people talking about it. Yeah.
So I saw someone comment recently. I didn't smoke through the Lanceros yet, but someone posted a picture of one of it. It was either the 4 or the 5. It was in the middle of the pack, and they were like, "This tastes like a Brulee Blue. This is a Brulee Blue Lancero."
It definitely wasn't the 5. That was a dark wrapper. It might have been the 4.
I think it was the 4. Yeah.
Yeah, the 5 had a dark wrapper on it. That's why.
And then one of them was a Candela.
That was number
Dave
10.
smoked the Candela. He thought it was incredible. But he's a Candela guy.
Jay chimed in. I didn't like a couple of the Lanceros, but most of the GFY were really, really good. Yeah, I mean, leave it to Saka to take a size that's kind of a redheaded stepchild. You know, you either love it or you hate it. It's kind of like,
And he says he hates him.
And he takes that, and like Coop said, like he makes it the talk of the town. I mean, it's, you know.
They were talking Lance. I never saw Lanceros talked about more from a company than Saka at it going into a trade show. Never.
Matt, you know what we should do?
What?
I think that Tad box is screaming.
You want to open it up?
I think it's screaming.
So we'll do this right on the air. So I have, if you're watching the Wednesday night show, I mentioned that I have, and I'm going to shout out. I'm going to shout out because Jay's here. I bought this box from Jay. And Jay, I don't know if you remember, but this box is still sealed. It's still in the plastic. Okay? Oh, we lost Coop. Oh, we lost Coop. What happened? Oh, no. Oh, we lost Coop.
Shit.
Oh, what happened? Hopefully he calls back in. Well, anyway, there's still people here. So, I bought this box from Jay years ago. I still have it, Jay. Still got the plastic on it. Look at that. Still sealed. And I think tonight's the night that we're going to open this box of D110 broadleafs, courtesy of Blue Smoke of Dallas. And it's been sitting, and I've been waiting. And I think tonight's the night. I'm going to do this right on the air. I'm going to rip it open. There it is. There it is. I'm going to open it up. Open it up with Jay watching. Look at that. See, Jay? Look at that. Blue Smoke of Dallas. I don't have my knife with me. I want to cut this nice and clean. I have to step away again. I'm sorry, Pat. You're going to have to hold down the fort. Now, if Coop dials back in, I don't know what happened. But if Coop dials back in. Oh, there he is. Wow. You left us like at a pivotal moment.
Yeah, the internet cracked out for a second, yeah.
But anyway, I have to go grab my knife because I want to cut this open. But
oh yeah, just yeah.
I have this. I have this. At least I'm giving you a warning now. Okay, come on. I have this. You missed. I took the plastic off. But I have this sealed box of the T110 broadleafs that I got from Jay a few years ago. And Pat and I have been talking about this for a few weeks. And tonight's the night. I'm gonna go get my knife. I'm gonna slice it all open nice and clean. And I think we're gonna crack this open. I'm very excited.
Why isn't the knife there, Matt? You should have had a knife ready.
It pissed him off. I just fucking ripped it open.
Yeah. Okay, you didn't have to go. What is that? Is that Reservers or?
Yeah. Reserva broadleaf.
Yeah, that's the best that is right. Yeah.
That's why I waited so long. Just teasing
Number
myself.
Fuck yeah.
See that? This is a good box. I'm cutting all of it nice and clean. Okay, there it is. It's not sealed anymore. All right. It's like almost like doing an unboxing live on the air. Look at this.
You got the tape on the side still, though.
Do it?
Well, I mean, like, not like that way.
Oh, yeah. Good call. Trying to get it nice and precise. You know, I like to do things the right way. I'm not like Cigar Coop. I don't just rip the boxes open.
I have people open the boxes for me. It's a little different.
You know, that was one of the douchiest. I have people open the boxes for me.
I don't want to ruin them.
So you open it up. There they are inside the foil.
No cellophane.
No
I'm
cellophane.
just gonna fucking snort the shit out of it when you open it up.
No craft paper bundle. Thank you.
Wow, look at this. This is a real treat. You know, this is a real treat.
No good cigars, yeah.
And well, someone was saying to us in the comments on Wednesday, because I had mentioned I had a box. I didn't specify which of the blends, and they said, "Oh, if it's the reserve or the broadleafs?" They're like, "Yeah, those are good to go. Like, open it up." And I said, "All right." I said to Pat, like, I think now might be the time. So here we are, opening this up. I know I'm being gingerly, but I'm savoring the moment. You know, some cigars are meant to be savored. So that's what I'm doing. I'm savoring the moment. I'm opening this up. How much tape did they put on this? I mean,
This
listen.
is taking a lot longer than it should.
I know. Well, you know, I'm trying not to just destroy it because, you know, I like to build anticipation. Here we go. Look at this. Ooh, wow! Look at him in there. Oh yeah, just take a smell.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Mmm.
Dank.
J. You have redeemed yourself for not getting a Monster Smash now. You know, Jay, I'm sorry about that. I was all ready to buy it, and then I forgot about it. Life happened. And if you still have some, we can have that conversation. If they're gone, it's on me. I fucked up. I didn't get them, and that's it. So, trying to, like...
Are you fucking kidding me?
There we go. Trying to get it out. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, they got the ribbon on them and everything. All right. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Look at those. They're beautiful. Plenty of age. All right. You ready? Here we go.
Oh yeah.
There you go, sir. Coop, if you were here, I'd give you one. I'm sorry, I can't.
I know. Oh, I know. That's no worry. I have my it's all good.
But yeah, this box has been resting. This box has been resting. Yes, I saved a couple for you. You know, Jay, this is why, guys, take notice. This is why Jay Davis, Blue Smoke of Dallas, if you don't know them, like, take notes, okay? If you're a retailer, take notes. If you're a consumer, take notes. Blue Smoke of Dallas, you know, Jay is a friend, but, I mean, come on. Take notes. That's how it's done. That's what a good retailer is. All right, they go back in the box. Oh man, I'm getting too excited for this. This is gonna be great. I've waited a long time for these. Oh, the draw. Ooh. Oh my God, the draw on that.
Just dead silence right now.
I know. We're savoring the moment. Give it that nice slow toast. Here we go. Fuck, that's good. Mmm. Wow, was it worth the wait?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was worth the wait.
It's funny because when
Nice.
I think I said this probably Wednesday, but when these came out, I was still fairly new.
At Chateau de la Cigar Coop, the butler opens the box. That's funny. Oh, man. Yeah, take notes. Jay Davis, Blue Smoke of Dallas. Hit them up. I mean, class act.
But I was still new to the point where I didn't know to buy a box of these and sit on them. And I regretted it like a year into me smoking. I'm like, fuck, I should have. Because someone gave me one probably in early 23, and I smoked it, and I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, I wish I knew what I knew now then, because I would have bought as many of these as I could. Even the Habano, all three of them. The Sumatra, the Habano, and the broadleaf. I would have bought a box of them and sat on them.
I have a couple of loose ones of the others. Not many left, but this was my favorite. Now, this cigar was on our list in 2022, and it was at number 3. I mean, and Coop, I believe you had this on your list as well. The broadleaf.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Yep.
This I mean, when this cigar came out, fantastic. And then I believe it was last year when
Tuxla.
when he started doing all the Tuxlas with the Mexican San Andreas, he did the Lomo de Cerdo. I believe he did a T110
He did, yep.
with the Mexican San Andreas.
Yep. Yeah, he did. He did.
Now, I remember the unicorn one was the Habano, because he did, it was, what was it, a third production for the Habano? There was less Habanos in circulation than the Sumatra.
Yeah, and you had to go to the trade show to get that one, I believe, too.
Yeah. And it was a very good cigar, but I think the exclusivity of it is what made me at the time think that was the best one, because everyone was like hunting for it. But yeah, the broadleaf was, especially smoking it like right now, like it's, and anything Pete makes, in my opinion, ages very well, and his broadleaf ages exceptionally well. But yeah, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's got that little bit of pepper right up front.
Yeah.
That first few puffs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. But it's not like too much.
Mm.
It's nice. It's like just enough where it's a good flavor component. There's a lot of rich flavor to this. There's some chocolate, there's some earth, there's some spice.
But it has like that Fausto spice to it.
Yeah. Again, this is the best.
I agree.
I actually might have to go give the baby a bottle. I might have to leave again. I'm sorry about that.
Well, do we want to? Anything else we want to cover before we wrap up?
You know what?
Maybe it's a good time to wrap up.
I think it's a good time to wrap up because I might have to run. But I'm glad we did that and we opened those up because I wanted Jay to know that I appreciate him as usual. Thank you very much, Jay. And but yeah, no, I think that's it for this week. So let's wrap this up, and we'll see you guys next week. Again, we don't know. Christmas is Wednesday, so we're gonna find a different time to do a show, but we'll let you know as soon as we do. And that's it. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.